All right, guys, welcome back to Remotely Wasted. We're here to talk college football with you. I don't know which week we're doing. Is it week 10 we're reviewing right now?
Yeah,
I
week
think we're
10.
going into week
It's week
11.
11
So,
coming up.
reviewing it's the first week with the college football playoff rankings, so we made our own rankings, which will be fun.
We
12
made it,
teams.
chat. We made it.
We're like
It's history.
it's new. Yeah, it's brand new. I mean, it's if you've been playing college football on a PlayStation or anything, you're kind of used to it a little bit.
Yeah, believe it or not, I've only made it to the off season like twice in that game. Once in our dynasty, and then I did it once by myself.
I've done it a few times because I've done a lot of shit where I just like kind of sim through the season, like just to see what
Right.
happens. But yeah, it's a crazy past weekend. This was one of the crazier weekends I think of the whole year.
Honestly, I kind of thought this was like a kind of a boring weekend. I mean, there were some upsets, but like the marquee games were kind of like. And
Yeah,
to be fair, I had to go into work for a little bit of it, so I missed like almost all the evening games. And I don't even really like remember much of the morning game, so it's like to me it was just kind of like
there was just a lot of surprises to me. They weren't maybe as big as because like the top teams were doing fine, but like an A&M, South Carolina was like pretty eye-opening. Like Iowa State, Texas Tech was
Clemson.
like, what was that? Clemson, yeah, like what
Yeah,
the fuck was that? Like there are some games where you're looking at it like, what is going on today? This is really not making any sense. But at the
nope.
at the top, things kind of stayed consistent for the most part.
Unfortunately, somehow Penn State only dropping what like is this updated?
Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't even show their movements. I guess they dropped like three. Oh, yeah, because they were 4 or 3 or some shit. They
yeah.
were
I
three.
guess technically they haven't moved at all because it's like the first week of the playoff pool.
And the crazy thing is that this is probably the best thing that could have happened to them. Them losing to Ohio State here, not having to play in the Big Ten championship, and then still making the playoff with a high seed.
I
Wild.
was just I was just thinking about that. Like they will more than likely have a higher seed than
They'll
the
be
the
like
loser of Oregon Ohio State.
they'll be in like the 4 to 6 range, which is wild. And then they're gonna get in the playoffs and then get fucking mollywopped by somebody with a good offense.
It's really I don't know. It's like a flaw in the system that teams kind of get rewarded for not making the conference championship because they're getting real lucky here
I,
because
see, I think they just need to start dropping teams more for losses. Like all these teams with like top 5 matchups that are top 6, whatever, that play each other, they're not dropping far enough.
they only drop like a couple spots
Like
almost every
no more
time.
than 4. So, and then you got like an undefeated Big Ten team in Indiana. Like you should be dropping behind those teams. I don't give a shit if they haven't played anybody yet, but like Indiana at this point is going to more than likely make the Big Ten championship if they can beat Ohio State. Like, so I think they just need to drop a little further. But not like a whole lot, you know. I'm not saying drop them out of like the top 10 completely, but if you're just in a 4, you should at least drop to like maybe 7 to 9, somewhere in there. Like three
Yeah, I
three
mean,
spots
it
is
is
it's
a
just not
it is a
enough.
very I mean, like there's really no reason that Ohio State should already be ranked two. They just lost like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
Yeah,
ago, and they're already ranked two. Like Miami's undefeated. Granted, they've struggled and they haven't really played anybody, but they are
I
undefeated.
can't stand them motherfuckers.
I mean, honestly, Indiana should be a lot higher than they are if you really look because they haven't struggled against anybody the whole year. Yes, they haven't played anybody, but they
That's
haven't
not their
struggled at
fault.
all. Like
Not
if
their
they're
fault.
if they're doing what they're supposed to every week, I don't see how you like really fault them for that.
If anything, you should be giving them bonus points. They have a brand new coach. Like, what the fuck? What do you want them to do? It's not like he came in and was like, "Oh, we're gonna rock with this schedule." Like, that's just made years in advance.
And
So
Miami, I mean, like Miami has struggled, but they have played like a little bit better competition. But I wouldn't say it's
they
that
struggled the
much
last like
better.
6 weeks, week in, week out. It's a dogfight. Um, I'll talk about them later, but Jesus Christ,
Yeah, I mean, other than Louisville and who else did they play that was pretty good? Duke. That's pretty much the only two
Cal.
decent teams. Yeah, Cal's okay,
Cal's decent. Shit, at
but
this
they
point,
they
it's looking
still they
like it's
still
gonna be.
struggled in all of them though.
Yeah, I mean, they have a good enough offense. They can just outscore anybody. The defense doesn't matter. Like they will score on you.
Yeah, they're
So
like a Lincoln Riley era Oklahoma team. I feel like
yeah,
that's what they remind me of.
but when they do get in the playoffs and they are playing, Georgia's defense did not look good at all this past week, but
No.
they roll if they're rolling into playing, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas has a solid defense, Penn State has solid defense, Tennessee's okay. Um, yeah, they're gonna have a little bit of a rough time. They're probably not gonna score as much as they're used to. And if that other team, if their offense can get going, which everybody has played, their offense does just fine. As long as they're not making mistakes, they'll have a chance to win the game. They can play fucking Boise State and they can't stop Ashton Jeanty. Like it's gonna be a fucking shootout.
Well, what needs to happen is the team really needs that might be a good matchup. The way to beat Miami, I
Well,
think, is to dominate the time of possession, make sure Cam Ward doesn't get the ball. Boise
yeah,
State would be a good team to do that because you could run the clock,
you get like
run the
one
clock.
turnover, hopefully, because Cam Ward he makes mistakes. He's a little loose with the ball, throwing, running. Um,
There is a method to beat them. It's just you have to have a good defense and you have to have a good running game. I
I
feel
wouldn't
like
even
are the
say a
two
good
things.
defense, like a solid defense. Like he struggled at times against some of the teams he's played. But in the grand scheme of the game, like his stats are contrary to how the game was lining up. He does eventually pull through. He'll have like 500 fucking yards and 5 touchdowns. You look at that and you're like, oh, he had a great game. But you know, the middle half of the game or the beginning half of the game, the drives, it's not as good as he usually is. And like those are the drives that you want to get the stops, get the turnovers, turn the momentum in your favor. Like fucking Cal was blowing them out, and then they just folded. So it's doable. And if Cal can take that jump on him like that, with they do have one of the better defenses in the ACC. So if you could do that with the one of the top defenses in the ACC, one of these SEC teams or Big Ten defenses, it's gonna have no problem.
Yeah, I just don't see
In
them making
theory,
it like past the quarterfinal. Like I can see them winning the first game, but like once they get into like the final four,
I
like
think they
I
can
can't
make the
see I can't
semi.
see them beat. Yeah, I can see them getting to the semi, but I don't see them winning once they get there. Like I don't see
I
them
could
beating like an Oregon.
I could honestly see them making the championship. Actually I was
It just
praying they
just
make it to the
depends on.
championship and just lose. It would be
It'd be like a TCU
yeah.
championship with them in it. I feel like at least I don't know. Maybe they win. Maybe Cam Ward's really that good.
He is really good. He is really good. I'll give him I'll give him all his credit. I'm not dogging on Cam Ward at all. I don't like him because he's on Miami because I don't like Miami,
I
but
liked him at Washington State
but
last
he
year.
he is really fucking good. He's a generational talent at this point with the way he's playing.
I just don't know if he like can carry a team to a championship win. That's we'll see though. I
It's
mean, I think
it'll come
he has
down
a
to his
chance.
legs, I believe, like his rushing ability and his like he's very elusive too. So and he can shed tackles in the pocket, which is good for him. But I don't know how the fuck we got on this Miami tangent, but
Well, I guess we could get into our top 12. We made a
yeah, we
bracket.
um you wanna go first? You want me to go first?
We could do you first.
All right. Um I didn't really pick my bracket based off like the end of the year. This is based off, this week where teams are sitting, where I think teams if season ended today, where I would put them based off, record and stuff like that. So Oregon winning the Big Ten first bye. Oh, I got the burpees. Miami winning the ACC second bye. They'll be undefeated. I think they look better on paper to BYU, so I think they'll be higher. People don't be giving BYU credit. BYU, I have them winning the Big 12 today, set at 3, and then Georgia set at 4. I would have Georgia higher, but they do have a loss, so I just can't consciously put them above undefeated teams.
Yeah.
So, and then after the top 4, it's the next best team. So right now, Indiana's undefeated. Yes, they haven't really played anybody, but they look outstanding. So they would be matched up against Tennessee. I think that'd be a good game. I think Indiana would win that game. Nico has not looked great. Tennessee's defense has kind of started stuttering a little bit. Not as good as we thought they were at the beginning of the year. So if Curtis Rourke and offense gets going, Indiana's defense is solid enough to get some stops. I think they could win that game.
Yeah,
Army Penn State would be really, I think a really fun game because Penn State's offense is not like they're not a volatile offense. They like to run the ball a lot too.
they're more old school style football.
Yeah, so it'd just be they would just be banging against each other on the O lines and the D lines. So it'd be a lot of fun. I think Penn State's defense might be one of the better teams to match up against them. They got a good D line, so they could probably get some good penetration for that triple option and maybe get into the backfield because the only way to stop the triple option is getting them behind the sticks, getting them in, second long, third and long, and then they have to throw it.
I
So
feel like
yeah,
Army would have to pull some tricks out of their bag too, like
100%.
some things Penn State wasn't expecting. Like
Yep.
maybe just run a normal offense the whole game. Like
Yeah, the Penn State would be so like, where the
game
fuck's the
plan is just
triple
down the
option? And then
drain.
like fourth quarter, revert to the triple option. You've been just playing completely different. So I think honestly, I think that'd be a really cool matchup. Out of all of these, I think that would be a lot of fun. SMU against Ohio State. I really don't know how that one would go. I'd say Ohio State probably wins that game, but SMU's offense is pretty good. Their defense isn't bad. They got
I
some
think
they
it's
got
so
some
solid.
ballers. So, depending on how often the offense of Ohio State performs, they've been kind of hit or miss sometimes. So, Texas Boise State could be interesting. You'd have Ashton Jeanty pretty much getting the ball the majority of the time. So if Texas could stop the run, then whoever Boise State gets matched up, if they do make it to the playoffs, if they got a good run defense, and Ashton Jeanty is not just gonna take over the game, then I think Boise State's done for.
Yeah,
Te-
unless Matson, Matson hasn't
Yeah, he's
looked
he's
bad.
decent. He's
Like
decent.
maybe, but we haven't really seen him match up against. Well, he played all right against Oregon. He's shown, but I think Texas might have a slightly better defense than Oregon. I don't know
It's
because
kind of hard to
we
compare.
kind of have a weird sample size with
Yeah.
Texas just in their level of competition that they played so far.
So I guess starting from the bottom, I'd say Texas wins. So it'd be Texas Miami. Um, that'd be a good game. I think ultimately Texas would win that game. And then Ohio State BYU. Uh, I like BYU a lot, but Ohio State probably gets that one.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So you'd have Texas, Ohio State, um, Indiana. I think beats Tennessee. Indiana, Georgia. I don't. Georgia's been they look beatable. Florida was putting it on them until Lagway got hurt. Um, I think
I
I
would
take
probably
the
go
upset there.
Georgia.
I take the upset. I take
I would go
Indiana.
Georgia.
So we have Texas, Ohio State, Indiana. I think Penn State would ultimately pull out the win. I think it'd be pretty close. So Penn State, Oregon, and then I just can't see Penn State outscoring Oregon. Oregon's defense is solid enough to stop them. So we'd have Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, Texas. It would be
Yeah,
kind of cool. I like it. I like that.
that'd be an interesting like Final Four. It'd
Yeah.
be this is what I like about the 12 team is like
Anything could happen.
Indiana has a shot at the national championship. Like that's crazy. Like a
Army
team like
has a
Army,
shot.
we're talking about SMU,
What?
Boise State teams we would never
Would
like
never
BYU,
happen.
even BYU, pretty much other
Yep.
than Oregon, Georgia, and Ohio State, really, and
Yeah.
Miami, since they're kind of a blue blood, and nobody else really would be in there except for like maybe a Penn State, but they always choke
Yeah.
anyway. This is like
And
their one chance they get in, so we'll see what they
exactly.
do.
And if like this was last year with the four team, you'd have Oregon, Miami, BYU, Georgia, which is, two, well, I guess three newer schools. Oregon hasn't really been making it that far. BYU would never make it normally, and Miami, but so BYU would be kind of like that underdog team in that format. So that would be cool. BYU, Miami would be a fun matchup. And Oregon, Georgia would be awesome. So
Yeah.
then we'll hop over to Nick's
Yeah, so
bracket.
I didn't mind more based off of who I think ultimately will win the conference championships, not necessarily who I think's looking good right now. So I went Oregon number one. I just think they're just playing perfect right now. Georgia number two. I think they end up winning the SEC. They probably match up against I don't know who they match up against in the SEC championship. Probably Texas at
Is it
rematch
Texas?
rematch.
Texas right now?
Yeah, I think it'd be a rematch against Texas. I got Miami at three. I was for the whole season I've been saying I think Clemson's gonna win the ACC, but after seeing that Louisville performance, I can't see it anymore. And then Colorado, I think they have to win out to get to the Big 12 championship, but I like
Doable.
the momentum they have going on right now. I like them as a team a little bit better than BYU.
They
I
got
think they
Shador,
got a
so
better offense. The defense is a lot better than we thought it was going to be at the start of the season.
yeah, for sure.
It's not great, but it's more
Yeah.
like a middle tier defense instead of like one of the worst defenses like they had last year. Then five, Ohio State. I don't know where Ohio State's actually going to end up. Once I go
No
from five
idea.
to 12, I'm going basically based off of now. First four was based off the future, but now I'm just kind of going off like a current power ranking because we were just talking before we turn on the episode. Penn State might get rewarded for not making the Big Ten championship. So there's a scenario where Ohio State plays Oregon in a rematch in the Big Ten championship and the loser gets punished while Penn State gets rewarded for not even being in the
Yeah, because at
championship.
that point, Ohio State could have two losses. And they might be out. And
Yeah, I mean
then
that's a possibility
if they
too.
beat Oregon, then I think all three of them get in. Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State, and then Indiana
Yeah,
maybe at the same time. So Big
yeah,
Ten could potentially squeak four in,
yep, yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Speaking of Indiana, that's who I have at six. It's kind of crazy because the Big Ten's like almost having a better year than the SEC. Actually, they definitely are, in my opinion.
well because SEC's getting beat. Like Vandy's taking out teams. Like teams you would not be expecting taking out top teams. Like they almost beat Texas. That was
Yeah,
close. So um, yeah, then knocking Alabama out. It's like that's just not really happening in the Big Ten. Unless you consider, Indiana one of those. They normally are like a mid to middle-ish team. So they're not a mid team this year. They're a top team. So
yeah, they're solid. BYU went with them at seven. They're still one of those. After that Oklahoma State game, I just started
yeah, that
having real
questions.
question marks. And then that K-State win that they had is starting to look not as good because K-State just got beat by Houston over this past weekend.
You know,
So now I'm starting to lose a little bit
I,
of faith in
Houston's a trap
BYU.
team. They're a trap team. I said that when you guys were gonna about to play them. That's a fucking trap team, and they knocked off TCU, and it was like Houston had like maybe like one or two wins at that point, knocked TCU off.
Yeah, I think they still have a losing record, but they're just
Yeah,
like
they just be fucking people
they're
shit
not
up.
easy to beat. They're not easy to beat.
I was saying that I think was it last weekend? The Big 12, they're just massacring themselves. They do this every year. Like that was the only conference that does that. They just the people at the top aren't staying at the top. They'll drop a game to fucking anybody. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is ridiculous. SMU's who I have at eight. Um, their big win is what's the big one again?
Fuck, I don't know.
I forgot. I know they
I
have
mean,
a decent win.
they did lose to BYU barely, but I mean,
Louisville Pitt.
they just blew Pitt's shit out the water this past week. Pitt was undefeated, but if BYU drops a game, that makes that loss look worse. And then with BYU kind of struggling, it's like Oklahoma State. It's like, eh. But yeah, that Pitt win looks really good because
Yeah,
Pitt was playing really well. They were undefeated, so
and Duke's a good team to beat too. I think that's a very solid team.
that was a close game.
Not an amazing team, but I think it looks good on your resume. You know, Louisville obviously looks pretty good right now.
Yep, after
BYU is really, I think that their playoff hopes, other than just straight up winning the ACC, like to get an at-large bid, I think they hinge on the success of
BYU
BYU.
winning the Big 12.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
or just yeah,
I think if SMU makes the ACC, they lose to Miami to be two losses, and then BYU doesn't win the Big 12, SMU's out. But if BYU does win the Big 12, SMU still loses to Miami. I think they could squeak in at like 12 maybe.
yeah. Because at that point, your only
But
two
then
losses are the conference champions. That
but
looks
then they're sitting right there like right. like right with A&M and LSU, so like you have to pick SMU over these two fucking powerhouse schools, which they're gonna draw more money, more views, so that'll come into play.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean,
Unfortunately enough.
they're also going to be tied to their wins and losses as well. Because I don't know what, A&M and LSU have, but I think they both have the potential to probably drop another game. It's the SEC. It's like kind of cannibalizing itself at the moment. It's kind of ironic because that's usually what the Big 12 does, and OU and Texas leave the Big 12 and they end up in a conference that's like SEC's doing it for the first time ever where they're just killing themselves. So I went that's why I got SMU at 8. Texas at 9. I think Texas they look good
At
some
times.
at times, but Georgia loss. I feel like they never really stood a chance in that game from the start. I think they're down like 20-3 or 24-3 real early. Um, Struggled against Vanderbilt, didn't look great against Mississippi State. Their biggest win right now, I don't even know what it is. I mean, is it us? I mean, that
It's
might
it's
be their,
it's Vanderbilt.
I guess Vanderbilt, yeah.
That's
And
them.
and they squeaked it out. And other than that, they haven't had like a dominant win over anybody good. But they are really loaded in talent. So we'll see what happens with Texas. I got Notre Dame at 10. They're one of those teams that's just quietly been under the radar since they lost to Northern Illinois. Nobody's really thinking about them. But that blowout against Navy was pretty interesting. I don't know if that speaks to how bad Navy is because Navy did drop another game this weekend. So maybe that doesn't mean anything. But
Yeah.
they did have that big win against A&M. But of course, A&M just lost this past weekend. So
They
what is
got the
that?
shit
What
stomped
does
out of them.
that really mean? So Notre Dame's like strength of schedule is kind of in question, kind of their whole resume, and they
Had a
definitely have the
terrible
worst
loss.
loss of anybody on
Yeah,
this
I'm not
list.
I'm not putting them over any one loss team with not a bad loss like that. There's nobody with a one loss that's got a worse loss, and I don't think there's any of them.
Yeah, I mean the reason I have them above Tennessee is I feel like Tennessee has not played good like at all since their
No, not
non-conference
yet.
schedule. Like they lost to Arkansas, struggled against Florida, struggled against Bama. I
Yep.
mean, they didn't beat us as bad as they should, as bad as we've been. 20, was it 25-14 or some shit like that? That's not a very good win against a really bad team. They've underperformed since conference play has started. They don't pass the eye test at all for me. They do have a good like defensive line. Like their defense is solid. I do like their defense. It's kind of ironic because I think everybody's thinking Tennessee's strength is their offense, but really it's been their defense kind of holding them down. Then I have Boise State at 12. I think they'll be the group of five champion that gets in. They've I think they've cleared the toughest parts of their schedule. I think UNLV was probably their last big challenge.
I was looking on their schedule earlier. It's something crazy.
So as long as they just continue working, I think they get in. I think they have the potential to upset a team because I got them matched up against Ohio State. I don't know if Ohio State would be the team they would get the upset on. It'd more likely
Probably
be
not.
more of a team that
BYU,
yeah, like a
SMU,
BYU. Um
Notre Dame, Tennessee.
yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if they pull it off against Texas.
And maybe I don't
Um
see them beating Ohio State.
no, Ohio State is they're really loaded. I noticed
They are.
that
They have the capability to beat anybody.
I noticed that against Penn State, like kind of looking back at it, like their defense is low. Like they have an answer for you at every position
And
because
as long as Will
they spend
Howard,
so much money.
as long as Will Howard plays good, then they should be fine. But they're solid on running backs. Receivers are great. Defense is great. I don't know about special teams, honestly. That could be their weakness. Comes down to kicking. Who knows?
Yeah, that I guess I left Penn State. Did I leave Penn State
Yeah, you
completely
did.
off? Yeah, I guess I did. That was probably an oversight.
I guess
But
maybe they could be like right there with Tennessee is.
yeah, I mean,
You're not since you're not that high on Tennessee.
I
I
lost a
would.
lot of faith in Penn State this week, and I'm not gonna
They
lie.
held Ohio State. It wasn't that. It's not like they got blown out.
But they that's the thing though. They never get blown out in these games, but
No, they don't. They
they
just can't ever
always
fucking do it.
lose because
Man,
they can't score on these teams.
honestly, I think they should have went with their backup. Uh, Perigula or whatever the fuck that dude's name
Yeah,
is.
the dude that played against Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. He came in. He looked good. I think. I mean, Drew Aller was running the ball a lot, but he's not near as fast or shifty as that backup is. And the backup seemed like he could throw. And then they're tied in Tyler Warren. I feel like they weren't using him enough. They got to find a way to get that guy the ball. That dude's best tight end in college. He's I don't know if he's a senior or not, but that dude should go first round. That dude he could play quarterback, he could play running back, he could play tight end, wide receiver. That motherfucker could probably play linebacker. I wouldn't be surprised if he can kick. That dude's a fucking beast.
Yeah, he's solid. I think I've if I was a Penn State fan at least, I would just be at the point where I've seen enough of James Franklin.
I agree. I
He's
agree.
like something like
He just can't.
one
It's
in one
it's
in 10 against Ohio State and like 1 in 19 versus top five teams or something like that. He can't win the big game. That's too much. Like that's
yeah.
too much of a discrepancy. Like there's just no
They've
way.
had good teams too.
They've had great players come through since he's been there. Phenomenal
He's
players.
the Lane Kiffin of the Big Ten.
He can't get it done. It has to be him. Like I don't.
Eh,
He's the only consistent thing because I think they
Yeah.
hired a new offense coordinator like
Oh,
recently.
and normally it's their quarterback too. Like they can't fucking recruit a quarterback. And last year Drew Aller was not refined enough. This year he's looked a lot better. I don't know if next year's maybe their shot with him, having even more progression with his ability, but I don't know. It's always him and the quarterback. That's always their downfall.
Yeah, and he was after the game. He was like, "Yeah, there's some stuff I'll address, but I'll do it later or something." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "What are you talking
Resign.
about?"
Quit.
That's the. I feel like that's his only. I'm like, you tried the offensive coordinator thing. Like, it's clearly not. That's not the problem, or you're just not making the right hire, which means you're the problem. Either way,
Yeah.
whether or not the offensive coordinator is good or not, you've hired bad
He's had
coordinators.
plenty of time. And
It's
it's not like he's underpaid, so it's not like he's just not performing because he ain't making money. Um, it's just, yeah, I don't think he's it, man. He's a decent coach. He's solid, but he's just not gonna be enough to get you over the hump at this school in this conference. I think
yeah, I think he'd be great in like
Big 12 or ACC.
yeah. I think Penn State. Their expectations they've been floating in this area for too long and they need to make the next step. They have the money, they have the fan base,
They're
they have
recruiting.
the recruiting. They're in a good location as far
They got
they're
a
huge.
hotbed.
Pennsylvania is a huge state where they're going to
Yeah,
have a lot of good talented players around them. It's got to be James Franklin at this point and he's done great. Don't get me
they're
wrong,
always
like
like a fucking 10-win team, like almost always every year, almost 10 wins at least, or do they have 10 wins
yeah,
every
and I mean
fucking
most
year?
most most teams would love to have that.
But like after a while, you're like, okay, we can do better. We're averaging 10 wins every fucking year. What's is it? It's not too greedy enough for us to ask for one more win or a win against one of our fucking rivals. Beat Michigan 1 year, please, or Ohio State beat them 1 year and try to make a run. And I would be calling for his job if I was a Penn State fan.
Well, I mean, that's got to get
It's a little
depressing.
it's a little ungrateful at that point, but like he's had plenty of time. It's too long.
Well, I mean, like as like a Penn State fan, the only games you probably are caring about are Ohio
Michigan and Ohio
State,
State.
Michigan, and then now you'll have a team like Oregon that you might care about. But the only two games they've ever really cared about are Michigan and Ohio State, and I don't think he's ever beat them in the same year.
Well, then USC is eventually going to be good, so then you're gonna have to fucking deal with them too. Oregon's always going to be good. Michigan's having a down year, but they'll be back. Ohio State's always going to be good. Say miss on a quarterback or something, or miss on a head coach at some point. So there's four or three other teams that are ahead of you, or right there with you that you now have to compete with. And there's gonna be some random year like Indiana that's up there. Now you got to deal with them. Washington made the championship last year, so they're not completely out of the equation to come back and have a random good year. There's nobody over there fucking to compete with them for recruiting other than Oregon and USC. So the majority of your conference you're isolated from.
Speaking of
Yeah,
Indiana's kind of been an interesting point of discussion lately because Coach Sig is obviously getting a lot of attention. There's
he's gonna
big
get
rumors
offers.
of USC possibly offering him the job after the season. If they could get a buyout on Lincoln Riley. I don't know if that's where he would want to go. And there's also the thing with USC is I didn't know this, but apparently Pete Carroll is teaching classes at USC and he wants to coach again. He didn't say where, but maybe he's
Fuck
just
it.
hanging out like, hey, I'm here,
I'd
guys.
give him the job.
He,
He did pretty well with the Seahawks. It's not like he, went to the NFL and was terrible.
he won
So
a Super Bowl. I mean, he
yeah.
won a Super Bowl and
After
went to
that,
another one.
he was pretty consistent. So it's not like he just, peaked and then just was a bottom feeder. He was pretty consistent. So it's not like he can still, I think he still got it.
He
But,
had three
coming,
Heisman winners at USC.
he's coming back into a completely new landscape of college football, which is arguably why Nick Saban retired. So
But
I,
I think the flip side with Pete Carroll is the reason he left
it was
is
because he
because
couldn't pay
he
motherfuckers.
was paying the players. So maybe it'd be
It
nothing
might,
new to him.
true, true. It might be playing right into his skill set. He about to have the next Reggie Bush. So year one, I guarantee fucking USC has a Heisman running back. Wouldn't be surprised.
I would like to see Pete Carroll back in the college game. That'd be
Nah,
interesting.
I'd be down for it. I don't know. I don't know much about Signetti. I don't know like what his values are. I don't know kind of like where he's from. Would he want
Yeah,
to
so I
go
watched
to
this
California?
like it was a segment on College Game Day.
Yeah.
So he was like an offensive analyst for or analyst for Alabama for a while.
Yeah, he comes from
But
like the Saban tree a little bit.
yeah, he was like under like I think when like Lane Kiffin and them was there, he was like kind of under them. And then he was like, I want to be a head coach, and he took like some really small
D2 job.
school. And his wife was like, no, you can't take that job. And he was like, no, I'm taking the job. Did good there. I think
Ended
after
up at
that,
James
that's
Madison.
when he went to James Madison for 2 years and took them where he took them, and now he's at Indiana, hasn't lost a game yet. He
Shit.
kind of just does like what he said. He kind of does just win wherever he goes.
I would love to have him at Florida State. Love Norvell, but something gotta give my boy.
I think, he's the person
He's
everybody wants right now.
he's the number one prospect and coaching right now. Shit, if I'm Penn State or Ohio State, if Ohio State can't get it done with Ryan Day, I'm on the phone. He ain't gotta go too far. Same conference. Penn State, he would be a fucking menace at Penn State.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I
give him all that at Penn State.
dude, that team would be unstoppable, I think.
Just imagine
If
if he
he is
just
what we're
stays in
thinking.
Indiana. Like, what if
I
he's
mean,
just like, I just want to
turns
stay in Indiana. I'd respect it.
turns Indiana into a powerhouse. That'd be sweet. I'd
Be
respect
cool.
the fuck out of him if he did stay. But it's you gotta think about it. Does he think he can sustain this with Indiana? And does he go down potentially with the ship? If 'cause I don't know what grade Rourke is, so that you might be losing your starting potential or Heisman runner and QB. So does he leave and then Indiana takes a dive and then now your value kind of goes down with it, or does he just jump ship while the tide's high? You
I
know,
that's what I would do. That's what I think DeBoer did.
oh,
Uh,
100%.
last year he was like, okay, my team is all leaving. We're gonna be
100%.
terrible.
I would do the same thing.
I better go to a powerhouse school. And I think the
Yeah.
goal is to get to a powerhouse and stay there for because you don't want to just move every year. You want to eventually like
Yeah.
find a place to
And
like call
compete for a
home.
national championship. Like that's the ultimate dream.
Yeah.
And traditionally, none of these fucking schools that these coaches come from to big schools, i.e. Washington and Indiana, ever have a chance. Ever. Never. I mean, now that the NIL and transfer portals kind of leveled the playing field, I feel like you might start seeing some of these coaches potentially stay where they're at. and they think they have a shot to, you know, make a decent effort to make the playoffs at the minimum. Because I seen this thing, it was like, say at Georgia, for example, they're going after a quarterback and he's on their recruiting board. Say he's number fucking 15 on their list. For like Indiana, he could be their number one. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Georgia say they're like, oh, we'll give you 100K. You come here, you'll be back up. You might start in like 2 years. Or Indiana is like, hey, we'll give you fucking 400 and you're starting.
Yeah.
Because different teams are going to value different players higher to some of the big schools because they're loaded with talent.
Well, and I think that's what we're seeing is it's making the big schools are obviously they're gonna keep getting the top recruits, but they're gonna have a lot less depth. Like you could see it with OU this year on offense. Like we have no depth
Yep.
because like what would normally be our backups, they're starting for a smaller school right now.
Yeah. And then, because you could get drafted from a smaller school. You could draft from a D2 school. So it's like, if you think you have the talent and you're not going to start on that team, you can go to a tier below and you ball the fuck out. And then eventually you could transfer to a bigger school. You stay where you're at and just, big fish, little pond, and you make it to the league at some point.
You could get drafted in the first round out of a D2 school.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco went 15th overall from Delaware.
That was a long fucking time ago, though. I don't know how reasonable that would be nowadays, but
I mean,
I don't think
it'd
it's
have to be kind
impossible.
of
You'd have to be
like
a fucking absolute menace on the field. Like if you put like Cam Ward on that team, like that's what they'd be looking for now.
yeah,
Lamar
and I mean there'd
Jackson,
have to be like a weird reason for why you're not in the Power Five.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
why are you not
If you're like a
you
legacy player, maybe for that school, and you're like, oh, home team, I don't want to move, or my fucking dad's in the hospital and he needs me to take care of him or something. Whatever the fucking case may be. Those
yeah.
seems like the only reasons you would never leave to go to a big school, something crazy like that.
Unless you're like a Cam Newton situation where he got in that trouble at Florida,
True.
had to
And you
go to
had to
some like
leave.
random ass like JUCO and then went back to Auburn.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. There's pros and cons for the college landscape that we're living in now. It's there's too much going on. There's too much behind the scenes. It's really hard to get a grasp on what's actually going on versus what we think's going on. We could be completely fucking wrong. Next year could
There's
be,
not enough regulations for it
yeah.
right now. There needs to be like a salary cap, basically like some form of a salary cap.
There's got to be a
Um,
transfer limit. Players, you're only allowed to transfer so much.
yeah, you
Has
basically
to
need to
be
have to sign
something.
like a contract, basically saying like I will stay at this school for 2 years or
And
something.
there's got to be a performance-based pay. Like, fucking take fucking Florida State for example, like DJ, Granted, his failure this year is not entirely his fault, but say he was offered 400,000. You come in, you're playing like absolute dog shit. Okay, well you're not getting all that fucking money. You'll get 100,000. You play better, you're gonna get more of your contract.
Like incentives in the contract,
Yep. And
basically.
then that way, when it gets closer to the end of the year, and you're not like, oh, we're not gonna make the playoffs, I'm gonna sit out. Okay, then you're losing fucking money. So I think that would potentially prohibit, or not prohibit, but like prevent people from like thinking about sitting out bowl games. Like, okay, you sit out the bowl game, you lose money.
Yeah.
Like if whether or not they value that money or they want that fucking money, that's up to them. But it would prevent some players from sitting out.
Yeah, or like if you're a quarterback, like you if you get throw this many yards, you get this much money. Like
Yeah.
that type like incentive bait. Like that's what happens to coaches. Coaches get bonuses when they win. Like you give a recruit basically like a base pay of some however much you want to give them. Like okay, you're guaranteed 50. Like if you're a high caliber player, we'll give you 50K no matter what. But you can
Yep.
make up to like 500 if you hit all these incentives.
Yep. You fucking win the championship, you get a millie, something crazy. You know what I mean? They're like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, hell yeah, let me go ball the fuck out. Like I don't give a fuck. We're playing goddamn Abilene Christian High School. I'm gonna drop 100 on them. You ain't taking
Yeah,
me out of the game. It's fourth quarter. I'm still out there. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, something's gotta change a little bit. I'm not saying it's gotta be completely radical and like, you know, lean more back into the way it was, but I feel like
It's gotta
you could find a happy
there's
medium.
we need a balance because the way it was before was terrible and it was all just favored the schools and NCAA, but this
Yeah.
way is just completely fucking over the schools. So like
And the
that's
players
not
have all
fair
the
either.
power, and then you could completely handicap a fucking program completely.
There has to be some type of guarantee that you're getting from the player if
Yeah.
you're willing to spend that much money. Because I mean, they could just leave like the very next year, no penalty, nothing. They could go to four different colleges all 4 years if they really wanted to, just following the
Yeah.
money.
And then yeah, they gotta the transfer thing's gotta be taken care of. The red shirting. You should not be able to fucking just red shirt randomly if you're not fucking hurt. Like it should like if you're not fucking playing where you're like, oh, our team's ass. I think I can make it somewhere else. Let me just red shirt, save some eligibility like that. That should not be able to happen.
Yeah, no, that's like putting on your team.
Yeah,
And
I don't like
it's
that.
not really a good like it's not good for the game.
No, absolutely not. Anyways, huge fucking tangent that we went there. So, um, game of the week. I don't know, man. I was looking at some of the. I almost didn't want to pick one.
I went with Texas Tech, Iowa State. That was this
I
game
t
was the Georgia Florida was very very good
Yeah,
until like the fourth
lag. Wait, what?
quarter.
So I mostly picked this because of how beatable Georgia was and how close this game was. It was 2020 with 7.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then Florida, their quarterback, their little Yale transfer guy, he throws a pick or something happens. Georgia goes up seven, and then Florida throws a pick, and then they're like already in the red zone. So that they scored 14. Like these two scores right here within a minute of each other. That it just yeah, it was gone. It was over with. But up until that point, Florida's playing well. Their defense is playing really well. Carson Beck has a fucking turnover problem, and it's very
He's
bad. He is
he's
not
gone off the
locked in.
rails.
He's absolutely tanking his draft stock, which is crazy.
And
He
he's a
pro-
senior, I think. I don't think he could
he
go
he was
back.
gonna go first round. I don't. He's slipping a little bit. I don't know if he falls out of the first round with this issue, but it's a problem. He's averaging like three fucking interceptions a game or something crazy. Like it's crazy.
Well, he's having like a college version of like a Jameis Winston season because he's like he's
He's airing it
throwing
out.
crazy yards, crazy touchdowns, but then he's throwing like three picks in a game. Like that's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. But 309 yards is pretty good.
And if fucking Florida had any semblance of an offense, they would have won this game. Or if Lagway didn't get hurt, because he was eating them up.
Yeah,
Georgia
he's a dual threat.
Georgia had no answer for it. And if he kept throwing these interceptions, I think Florida wins this game.
I didn't follow up on a Lagway, but he
He's
got
got a ha
carted off.
he's got a hamstring injury. He might play this week because they play Texas. I guess he put out a statement. He's like, he's doing everything he can to play. So I don't think he's gonna play. But and if he doesn't, Texas wins by at least 17. But
It really
Florida's
sucks.
defense has gotten a lot better. So
I almost like want to say Napier's earned another year,
yeah,
but
maybe. But
with Lagway hurt and if
that's
they
not his
just
fault
they
though.
drop everything, like they
That's
probably
not his
I think they
fault.
wanted to fire him before the season even started. I think they
Yeah.
fired the guy that hired him, so he's kind of already he's I think he's kind of done. And look at
They
the
they
next
they
three
lose these
games.
next three. They beat us. There's no way we beat this team. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, this at first like earlier in the season, I thought maybe you guys would have a chance against
There's
Florida,
no fucking way.
but
Not with
now Florida is starting to look pretty good.
Yeah, with their defense improving like it is, and then if Lagway is still playing, there's zero fucking chance we win that game. Like we can't beat Duke in North Carolina. Fuck makes us think we're gonna beat Florida. It doesn't even matter we're at home. So
Yeah.
yeah, this was a good game. I really enjoyed this game. I had fucking money on Georgia winning by 9.5, and then or was it 6.5 or 9.5? I think it was 9.5.
Yeah, I think it was.
And then so like it was close. Lagway gets hurt, so I was like, oh cool, Georgia's gonna run away with it. And then they kept sticking around, and then as soon as Florida tied it right here, I was like, I cashed out. And then conveniently they fucking scored two more touchdowns to cover the spread, and I'm like, fuck me, right? But there's no way you could have counted for them getting a fucking interception in the red zone to go up 14. Um, I was pissed. I was so mad. But
This was a not a great
I just
performance
eye
by
opening game.
Georgia.
Not at all.
And they're just a weird team. Like they look really like unbeatable almost against Texas, and then they play like this, and you're just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, that historic comeback against Bama, and I mean ultimately they lost, but like that comeback was crazy. It's like they were a whole different team in the second half. Yeah, Georgia's definitely beatable. They make it in the playoffs against. Shit, I could see Miami beating Georgia, honestly.
Yeah, depending on which Georgia
Shows
shows
up.
up.
Or which Carson Beck shows up too. That motherfucker is. It's like he's just doing blow in the locker rooms and fucking hookers, and he don't give a shit about playing football. That's the vibe I get from him. He's just cruising his Lamborghini. He don't give a shit about fuck.
Yeah, I feel like he's like maybe just like not focused because he's never had like he didn't have these problems last year. Like
Yeah,
he wasn't just a turnover machine last year. He was pretty efficient.
he's got no fire to him. He's throwing his interceptions and going and just sitting on the sideline, and he's just like he's got the helmet on, and you can just see him. He just like he looks pissed, but like he's just no fire to him. He's not like rallying the fucking troops like, hey, my bad, my bad, my bad. Talking to the O line like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, do fucking something. You're just sitting there on the sideline pouting every fucking time. He's over there kind of smiling like, oh man, whatever. We're gonna win. We're fucking Georgia. Like, I hate Carson Beck. I don't hate him. I dislike Carson Beck.
I think he's just at that
He's
stage
not
where he's
in
just
it.
like I just want to go to the NFL. Like
Yeah.
which that also hurts your chances like in the NFL.
This motherfucker's not starting on hardly any of the teams. Who you gonna start this dude over in the NFL? I wouldn't start him over Bryce Young on the worst team in the NFL. I would not start Carson Beck over Bryce Young.
He'd be one of those guys who got to sit for a year or two.
You'd have to,
Especially
yeah, have
especially with
to.
these interceptions, like you
For
can't
sure.
put him out against NFL defenses
But
being that careless with the ball.
hear me out. Maybe he's doing this on purpose, right? Maybe he's intentionally taking his draft stock to get picked up by a team that doesn't necessarily need a quarterback right now, so he can develop and not get absolutely shafted playing, for the Panthers, the Browns, the Giants, the fucking Saints are gonna draft a quarterback more than likely. You know what I mean? Saints
Yeah.
wouldn't be the worst place to go, but those are the teams that you're starting fucking day one, and your fate's already decided, and you're probably not gonna make it. So maybe it's probably not likely, but it's a interesting theory that I just now popped in my head because he does not look like he gives a fuck when he's out there on the sideline.
This is like yeah, the most disengaged I've seen him look like these past other than the Texas game. Just this like cuz last year he was pretty locked in
You
and
know,
he was really solid. Granted, he did have way better weapons surrounding him with Brock Bowers, and maybe that's part of the reason too is he's just like not as close with his current teammates as maybe he was with the guys from last year. Like
they all
maybe everybody
left.
he liked playing with left, and now he's
They're all
just like,
transfers and
oh, I don't
shit.
like these guys.
Yeah, maybe. Very possible. Both his security blankets are gone. McConkey and Bowers gone. So I don't know.
He needs to cut those turnovers down. Like if he doesn't,
They're
that's
gonna
not good
lose.
for him.
They're gonna lose. They almost got absolutely blown out by Alabama because of him. They should have. They should have. Alabama folded. But what was your game of the week?
I went with Iowa State, Texas Tech.
Did you
Uh,
watch this game?
I went back and watched the highlights. I didn't actually watch this one as it was going on. I think I was watching A&M and
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina
I
at
got to
that
watch a little
time.
bit of that game. Yeah, man, fucking. I'm telling you, every team we hitch our wagon to is the underdogs. They fucking sell at some point. And Iowa State is the newest member to that club. Texas Tech trap team, always are, always
They
will
they
be.
they played really good. I mean, Texas Tech's starting to like kind of emerge as like a pretty good team in the Big 12. Like obviously they're not competing for it or anything, but like
I like
they'd
Texas
be in
Tech.
that group, just outside of the teams competing for it. Like they could probably finish like maybe like fifth place in the Big 12, maybe sixth place. They're
Ooh, they played Colorado this week.
yeah, and
This could be a shootout.
that's at Texas Tech. Lubbock's a crazy place to play. I think Colorado wins this.
I think they beat Oklahoma State and
Oh
West
yeah.
Virginia. So if they win this game, it might be Texas Tech and BYU in the Big 12. Hold on. Let's before we dive into this game, let's just go hypothetical. Another tangent. Sorry, I'm just fucking on one. All right, BYU. Look at theirs next. So Iowa State, they lost. Conference, they got one loss. Colorado's got one loss. So Texas Tech, they beat Colorado this week. They probably jump K-State and Colorado, send a third. They would hypothetically probably need Iowa State to lose again, but they would have the head-to-head. BYU's got those are probably all wins,
Yeah, they're I mean, yeah, probably.
and then Iowa State's got K-State's
K-State,
chat
K-State
team.
could be a
Kansas
challenge.
has gotten a lot better. So on the road, they almost beat K-State.
They were
So
Kansas was looking pretty good if you and Kansas has the talent. Like they got
yeah.
Jalen Daniels, what Neil, whatever I can't remember his first name, the running back.
So in theory, Iowa State could drop one of those games. Texas Tech beats Colorado this week. They would probably make the Big 12 championship, and it would be Texas Tech BYU,
That would
which would
be
be cool. I'm for it.
that'd be
That's
insane.
chaos. It's chaos.
I love seeing Oklahoma State just dead last in the Big 12.
That shit's crazy. And the fact that they almost 70 less total yards, turnovers are equal. They had less time of possession, same amount of first downs. They were underdogs in this game. It was pretty much back and forth the whole fucking game.
I thought this was a
No.
pretty big upset because
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ames, Iowa is not an easy place to play. It's pretty crazy crowd. Night game. Iowa State was undefeated going in. Very solid defense, and and the
Offense
defense's
is pretty solid too.
defense, Iowa State's defense still held up pretty good.
Yeah, 23 points isn't a lot to give up, really.
They just don't have
In a Big 12 matchup, this is low scoring.
I don't know if maybe they just need more running because it looks like they had passing down almost 300 yards
Yeah, they
from
only
Rocco.
ran for
Rocco.
74. Well, from the running back. Rocco probably ran a little bit, but I don't know. Let's maybe we can. I wish I'd watched this game. Let's see. He only had 1 yard, so it's probably all sacks and stuff. Yeah, they had 122 yards rushing. They couldn't stop the run. Couldn't capitalize on the turnovers. Both teams are pretty one-dimensional on the receiving front. It really looks like they just ran like Texas Tech just ran the fuck out of the ball and just all short yardage passes other than to this guy.
Yeah,
They had three
that's
fucking fumbles, lost one of them. It's another turnover, so they had one interception, one fumble, two interceptions here. So they even on the turnovers. Tech only had 2 sacks, 3 sacks for Iowa State. TFLs are about even. Kick return yards, probably flip the field. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. It was. I mean, it was a pretty even game.
Yeah, they just got
23,
unlucky on
22.
that last drive right there. They just couldn't stop them.
Yeah, that
They
2 point. Yeah.
a 2 minute drill, and they just went down and scored.
Yeah,
Hate
that
to
was
see it.
a yeah, that was an interesting game. I was watching or not LSU, A&M Carolina, which that started out kind of as like a decent game, and then it just got worse and worse as it went on. But yeah, that's what I have for game of the week. There wasn't a ton of like big games that were really good. Like Ohio State, Penn State was the big
It was a
game.
good
And,
game.
it was a close game.
It's kind of like
It was like a boring game, and it was
defense.
I don't know. It's like it would have been a lot better if a game had Penn State won, but it was just like
Yeah,
exactly what you would have expected.
yeah, for sure. Best performance by a team. I went Ole Miss. These
Ole
motherfuckers
Miss,
went stupid on Arkansas.
they
So
did.
I got best performance by team and then player of the week with Jordan
J J
Watkins.
I have Jackson Dart as my player of the week.
So I wanted to go Jordan or Jackson Dart, but then so Jordan Watkins had 5 receiving touchdowns, right? On 8 receptions, 254.
That's
So like
insane.
looking at that, you'd be like, okay, the 8 receptions part's crazy. Like you would think like, oh, most of those touchdowns are probably like red zone, not a lot of yardage, but so he had a 62-yard pass, taking the top off of him, 11-yard pass in the red zone, 3-yard pass, another 66, and then another 62. This man is just unstoppable in this game. He's just taking the top off of him, just cooking him. One play 62 yards, two plays 68 yards, two plays 64 yards. Like the motherfuckers just eating their ass.
No, that shit is crazy.
Not taking anything away from Jackson Dart, I
No, the
didn't
reason
watch.
I picked Jackson Dart was because I guess that broke the school record
Yeah,
for passing yards and tied for receiving touchdown, not or passing touchdowns, I
yeah,
mean.
yeah. I'm not taking anything away from him because I wanted to go Jackson Dart, but then I was looking more into this and I was like, for a receiver, I feel like that's like
That's
slightly
no
more valuable.
that's
I
fun.
don't
I
know.
mean, I would say the big thing to me is how many
Or
touchdowns he scored. Like that's pretty
two
rare
receptions, I mean, it's almost even.
because you don't really see much more than like I feel like max you'll see three receiving
Mhm.
touchdowns. Like that's usually the best a receiver could do. And that's like a really, really good week.
But 5 touchdowns and 250 yards on just 8 receptions is like that's just crazy.
This
Yeah, Jackson
this
Dart
was a
wins.
weird game for Ole Miss because I guess like before this game, they were averaging like 23 points against SEC opponents. They really hadn't been playing very good offensively, and they
Yeah.
just really broke it open this game. I'm just curious to see if they could keep
So
it up. They got Georgia this weekend.
so the weird thing about this is like, okay, Ole Miss blows out Arkansas, right? Arkansas beat Tennessee. Tennessee barely beat Kentucky. Kentucky beat Ole Miss. Make it make sense.
It
It's
doesn't
it's the
make
SEC.
sense.
It doesn't make fucking sense. Ole
It's
Miss pisses me the fuck off. This team they're so just fuck. I hate it. I hate it. I just want some
they
fucking
can't lose
consistency.
another game either.
I fucking hate this team, but I like Ole Miss at the same time, right? The Kentucky loss is terrible at this point because Kentucky is not kept that performance like we was hoping
They're
they
like
would.
3-6 or something.
They did almost beat Georgia, so I don't know if that holds any weight. The LSU loss looks fucking not great. 'Cause LSU's fallen off a little bit. If they beat Georgia this week, they're right back in it. They'll make the playoffs, 100% with 2 losses,
Yeah, because they'll win those last two games.
more than likely. I don't know, man. If Florida has Lagway back and the defense plays like they did against Georgia, could be could be an interesting game. Mississippi State's probably a win, but yeah, man. This should be fucking game day in my opinion. But I don't know what game day is this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't
We'll,
really
we'll
paid
look at the
attention.
schedule at the end of the episode. Maybe we can guess it, then we'll look it up and see if maybe we can get it right.
Yeah, I mean, if this same Ole Miss offense can show up against Georgia, I think they win.
Yeah, they should. Because
If
Ole
if
Miss's
if
defense
Georgia
is
if
decent.
Yeah, it's a solid defense. I would say
Yeah.
it's not like the best, but it's above average. I
And
would
with
say that.
Carson Beck fucking playing like he is, Ole Miss should beat the fuck out of him. That's
Well,
like
yeah,
that's
if
at least
Carson Beck,
1 to 2 extra possessions off just interceptions.
given this Ole Miss team a short field would be a really, really
You
bad
know?
situation for Georgia. And if they
And
do it a couple times, like he has
yeah.
been doing pretty much the whole season.
And then Georgia be stalling out kind of early, it feels, at the same time. So that's potentially extra possessions on them just 3 and out at the beginning of the game. So you might get 5 extra possessions, and you can score on at least 3 of those. You you could beat them by like 21,
I also wouldn't be
in
surprised
theory.
though if Georgia just came in and beat
Georgia
their
just
ass.
blows their shit out. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either,
That's the
honestly.
way the SEC's been this whole
I
season.
hate Ole Miss, but I fucking like the team at the same time. This team pisses me off. Just have some consistency, man. Lane Kiffin is James Franklin of the SEC.
Yeah, and Lane Kiffin's one of my favorite coaches in
I
the
love
in
Lane Kiffin.
college football,
I
but
love him.
he's kind of in that same boat where I don't know if I'm him. There's big rumors about him taking the Florida job. I feel like Florida probably
It'd
got
be a
more
mistake.
money. I would go to Florida.
Florida's, man, I feel like that's almost a lateral move.
I think they got a
I,
lot more resources.
they have a lot more resources. I think their recruiting could be better, or is probably better. But I mean, at this point right now, you're competing with Miami, right? In state. Miami's on the up. We got Florida State there. We're still solid in recruiting. I mean,
Yeah,
not this next draft class. We did lose like fucking everybody. You know what crazy? We lost every receiver we have on this next draft class. They all decommitted. Every single one of them. Oh, it's fucking crazy. But UCF's not a slouch in recruiting, so in-state in Florida's tougher compared to Ole Miss, where you just got Mississippi State. But you are kind of sandwiched in there with like Georgia, Auburn, and Alabama, and Louisiana, fucking LSU. So it might be a little tougher down there. I don't know, but I would stay. I would stay.
I'm just curious to see if they are like a Penn State where they're just not gonna get over that hump
It,
because
it feels like it.
it kind of feels like that.
Does feel like it.
And like maybe Lane Kiffin's cool with that. Like I got a decent job, get paid a lot, like it here, whatever. But I mean, Lane Kiffin's done all this work to kind of build himself back up. Like he might as well take one of the blue bloods. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be Florida.
What if Lane Kiffin goes to Penn State? You think he would lead the SEC? I
Probably.
don't think he'd fit. I don't think he'd fit out of the
I
SEC.
don't think his
His style,
style
yeah, his air
fits
raid,
with Penn State. Even like
bro.
when he
But
changed
that might be what
coaches,
Penn State needs. They fucking run the same style offense and it's shit.
that is true. Maybe just
But
a complete rebrand of football
so
there.
if you could keep the same Penn State defense, they have a really good defense most of the time, and inject a fucking influence of passing into this shitty ass offense that they usually have, and recruit a decent quarterback, that might be what Penn State could use. Like it'd be complete. It's like Oregon with Penn State's defense.
True.
Could work. Could
Good
work.
work.
Penn State get on the phone. You'd be calling Signetti and Lane Kiffin. Three-way call.
I'll be calling like, give me the top 10 coaches and I'm calling them
I'm
all
calling
up.
Nick Saban too. Fuck it. Put him on there.
I know you've always
Dion,
wanted to
put him
do
on there.
this.
Maybe not. I don't know. Dion wouldn't go to Penn State. There ain't no fucking way.
I don't even think he'd want to either.
I honestly, I think he stays at Colorado. I could see him potentially go to Florida State. Maybe not this year with the buyout being so high. Potentially next year if he stay. But does he leave Colorado when his kids leave?
I've been saying I think he goes to the NFL.
Because he's gonna go down with the ship. Because Colorado's gonna be ass next year.
Unless he like because Dion does have this kind of attitude where like I think he would really like the idea of just building up his own program. Like he might just stay at Colorado and be like, fuck, I'm gonna build this up and try to make it as big as like the Blue
Oh,
Bloods.
if he put Shador in the NFL as a top five pick, I think he could swing a pretty hefty, high profile transfer like a Cam Ward or the number one or number two high school quarterback, something like that. I don't know what the recruiting is looking like for next year, but transfer wise, you put Shador in the NFL top five, you can get someone with a similar play style. I don't know. You wouldn't want to go play for Dion.
Yeah,
Honestly, I mean, makes sense.
he might stay at Colorado. I mean,
Oh no.
he's also I feel like he's probably one of the more picky coaches as far as like going to
Yeah.
like he's gonna if he does move, it's gonna be a very specific school that he wants. Because I mean, he got offered the Nebraska job,
Yeah.
and
Fuck Nebraska.
that's I mean that's a huge program though.
Yeah, but that team
That's a blue
sucks.
blood.
They
That's
just
a
lost
blue
to
blood
UCLA.
program. I mean, no, they suck, but he
They
turned them
got
he turned them
they
down
got
to go to Colorado.
they got Mahomes 2.0.
But I mean, like they would have had Shador and should have had he taken
Yeah,
that
Raiola
job.
wouldn't have went there.
Like they it basically would be the same team just in Nebraska.
I feel like
But
he picked Colorado because they were so down. He could do whatever the fuck he wanted. It's his
yeah,
way or the highway. He owns that fucking school right now. And with how they've performed, he can do whatever he wants.
well, and
He's the
he
key.
brought in all the money too.
Yeah, he's made them so much fucking money. It's crazy. He could do whatever he wants. He could fire everybody on the staff and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool. Do what you want, man."
I mean, that's probably now that you say that's probably the only reason he took that.
Nebraska would not have given him that
They would
much
have been
leeway.
like more on his ass.
Probably, especially at year one, if he did not perform, they'd have been like, "Did we make the right fucking decision?" Colorado was like, "Psh, we won some games, and we made money. Let's go.
I don't even think Colorado cares if they win, honestly. They're like, we got the
We got some
money.
prime time fucking TV games. Like we had one of the better games of the fucking year against Colorado State. That shit was a movie. That game was a movie.
That was the best. That's probably the best.
That's one of the better games I've ever seen, just because of how much hype it was. It felt like, when you watch that Friday Night Lights movie, it felt like that fucking movie in real life. You were
Yeah,
just like, it felt there was so much on the line. It was a rivalry game. It was just like, Travis Hunter getting smoked and getting hurt. It
and
was crazy.
they were talking all that shit before the game too. Like
Yeah,
they're like the coach was talking about Dion, and then like Shador had that 99-yard like drive to seal like oh to send it to overtime, 2-point conversion. Like it was just
it
an
was
insane
it
game.
was such a good game. Like I said, one of the better games I've seen in a long time, and it didn't even fucking matter. It was just a rivalry game for a school that won fucking almost no games. You know what I mean? It's so cool. So there's no way he would have won to Nebraska. No fucking way. But I feel like some other schools he could transfer to would give him some of that same leeway Colorado's given him.
Yeah,
Some, not all of it. Some.
I don't know. You think Florida State would give him that leeway?
Yeah, he's one of the best players we've ever had.
Yeah, and
And look what he's done.
at this point, y'all
We
can't get
need
any worse. Like y'all can't get
no.
any worse.
We're on pace to like tie one of the worst seasons we've ever had. We might not win another game. We might not beat Charleston Southern.
Well,
It's
I mean, if y'all only won a single game, y'all would be just as bad as that Colorado team he took over, basically.
exactly, man. But now we're stuck behind this fucking avalanche of money that we owe Norvell. He's either gonna resign or we're stuck with him. Just there's no other way.
Yeah, I mean,
He's not gonna resign.
from what I'm reading, he's probably they're gonna give him next year, then he'd probably get like go at the end of next year. Once
Yeah,
like the buyout went a little bit further down.
it's like 10 mil or something. It's not a lot, but
Yeah.
it's something.
And you can kind of settle on a buyout too sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's your best performance?
I went with South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yeah,
Just
we'll talk about
beating
that
the
one.
shit out of it. I think South Carolina is like
South Carolina's good.
they're very good. They have a very good defense. Their defensive line especially. I look like a clown.
I had disappointing performance for A&M.
I
Based
I consider that.
based off how high we had them I mean, I know I wasn't there the episode before, but I know you had fucking their quarterback like number two in the Heisman or some
No,
shit.
no, I had A&M number two
Or
overall
that's
ranked.
what it was. That was so
Yeah.
you was pretty high on him. I was too. I was like, shit, that quarterback looks unstoppable. And then he ran into South Carolina's defense, and I didn't watch the whole like first half of this game. I kind of caught, maybe late second quarter, third quarter ish, and then South Carolina was running away with it. And I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah,
Uh,
like at halftime you're thinking this is a pretty close game, a good
so
game.
did you watch this whole game?
Once it got to like I think I pretty much watched the whole thing,
What
yeah.
what the fuck happened to Marcel Reed? Like, was he just
Well, so what happened, like a reason they got in this big hole was because they were going for it 4th and 1 in their own territory, didn't
don't
get
do it?
it. They did it like twice in a row. Um and then I think South Carolina scored both times. I think that was in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then they were like they did it like they're at 4th and 1 again and they
Oh, they kept
punted it.
running. Oh,
And they were like the reporter asked Mike Elko, when they do those like little interviews like between the quarters, she was like, why did you punt it? The analytics, they were like, go for it. And he was like, well, we haven't done
analytics.
it. He's like, we did not get the last two, so I don't think we're gonna get this one either.
I mean, I can't fucking stand this shit. Okay, you run it up the middle, right? Doesn't fucking work. You do it again, doesn't fucking work. It gets to fucking 4th and 1. You run it up the middle, doesn't work. Okay, next drive. We're gonna run it up the middle. Doesn't fucking work. Third down. I don't know if this is exactly how it played out, but this is normally how it fucking goes in these scenarios. Third down. Let's run it up the fucking middle because it's 3rd and 3 or whatever. You get maybe 2 yards and it's fucking 4th and 1. Let's run it up the middle again because last time it was fucking 4th and 1. It didn't fucking work. They've been hammering our shit on the interior. Let's fucking run it up the middle and we've had success running it outside or
Well,
doing a counter
their
outside or
scenarios were
whatever the case may
like
be.
they were having good good first, second, and like third down they'd kind of fuck up and then they'd be
Incomplete
like on,
pass or
on the
something.
one, then they'd just be on the one, and then they would be like, okay, QB sneak. I think that's what they did
Not
both
with this
both
fucking
both, both
quarterback. That
times. He's
motherfucker
pretty
is.
skinny, yeah.
He's not. He ain't got to wait to QB sneak. He should be doing a read option and either pulling it. Most of the time, he should be pulling it. That motherfucker is fast. He's probably able to fucking clear the defensive end even if he reads it right. Um, but that defensive line for South Carolina is nasty. So if you keep trying to just run it on 4th and 1, that don't make sense. Just throw it.
Yeah,
Or
that's what
or drop back and then read it and then let the quarterback just run. Because if you line up in a passing situation, they're not gonna stack the fucking box. He has the liberty to either pass it real quick, read it, take off. He might have better success than trying to just fucking run it up the middle. That shit drives me nuts. My
yeah,
team does
it
my
was
team does
kind
it all
of
the fucking time. I
it was
fucking
kind of
can't stand it.
frustrating. It was frustrating to watch.
Does
Mike
Mike
Elko sounded frustrated.
does he call the offensive plays?
No, he's more of a defensive. It's
Okay.
Colin Klein is calling offense at
Colin Klein is a good
Tuesday.
offensive coordinator too. What the fuck is he doing?
I mean, I have no idea why they did it twice in a row. I get like the one attempt because it wasn't like they had like four plays. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like one play on 4th down, and they just couldn't get it. I didn't think Marcel Reed played horrible, but now I'm wondering like,
Was it like a one off? He
yeah,
just
well,
looked really
and maybe
good.
he is really good, but you're like maybe we just redshirt him why
Yeah.
waste him? Like we might not make the playoffs, but I
At
would
this
say you probably
point,
want to give it like one more. I think you could play 4 games, so he's played two.
okay, they win next week. Maybe not. Maybe don't play him next week because he's only played 2 games at this point. One full one. Came in late for what was like late fourth quarter, third quarter in the
Yeah.
LSU game. They beat New Mexico State and Auburn pretty well with Wegman, whatever the fuck his name is. Maybe Texas, you pull him back out. At that point, he's only played 3 games. He don't burn the red shirt. If you think
Yeah.
he gives you a better shot to win that game. It is at home. You got the home field advantage. Texas ain't looked as good. I don't know how good they look against mobile quarterbacks, but if maybe that's their weak spot, you fire them up. Maybe you
Well, the thing
do.
is, Marcel Reed could throw too, or he
He
looked like
can,
he could.
yeah.
He looked like he could against
LSU.
LSU
He was cooking their shit.
because he threw like a 70-yard touchdown or something, like right on the money. So we know he could throw.
He ran so much against LSU, and every time I was watching that game against South Carolina, I he was never running the ball. He was never keeping it, never running. And I'm like, but what the fuck are you doing? This is like that's what he's good at. I don't know if I was just catching the plays where he wasn't running and maybe he was just not doing well. I have no idea, but
I think it was more South Carolina's defense was just really good
yeah.
at shutting them down,
This
forcing them to get rid of the ball pretty quickly.
might be a hot take, but I think South Carolina's defense is better than Texas.
I think South Carolina's defense is
Defensive line anyways.
I think they have one of the best defenses in the entire country.
Yeah, and I think their quarterback is he.
Sellers, I think he's like a freshman.
Yeah, if he's a freshman, they have a good yeah. He's a freshman, he's just gonna get better. South
Yeah, I think he's a
Carolina's
highly recruited guy.
South Carolina's a sleeper team in the SEC, and I like what they got going, and I'm excited to see them next year and the year after. Because Sellers he's big as fuck. He's Cam Newton size. So if he can just kind of refine his ability, South Carolina's a unit.
Yeah, they could keep their defense as solid as they have this year, and their special teams is always really good because Shane Beamer was like a special teams coach for a long time.
Oh, Shane Beamer.
So they is that his name? Is his name Shane Beamer?
Yeah, I think so. Their head coach.
Yeah, because his dad's like the Beamer from Virginia Tech, I think. But I
Yep.
can't remember what that guy's name
Wasn't he
was.
at Virginia Tech before he went to South Carolina?
I think he might have been there for a bit. He was at OU as
I
a
don't know if he was the head coach of Virginia Tech, but I felt like he was at Virginia Tech
no,
before he
he
came
definitely
here.
wasn't the head coach.
No.
'Cause he left OU to be the South Carolina coach, from my
Did he?
understanding. Because he was like under Lincoln Riley, so he was like kind of in charge of the
What the
offense.
fuck am I thinking of? I don't know. I don't know shit.
But he probably started out at Virginia Tech, I would assume.
I gotta get a little pee break if I don't know if you want to talk about this
All
game
right,
or I could pull
I'll
something
keep it
up if you
going.
want to talk about
What's the next?
disappointing player of the week.
I don't know if I even picked one. Oh, player of the week, Ollie Gordon is who I
Oh,
have.
really?
Yeah, I'll
Interesting.
talk about his
Against
performance.
Arizona State. Damn. Man, fucking are you sure?
Yeah,
For disappointing player.
disappointing player. Yeah,
Oh,
he
I
did.
thought you said play. I was like, wait, what? Am I missing something? I was like, he got 25 yards, my guy. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, disappointing play. I was like, yeah, he's played pretty bad.
yeah, I was like, there's no fuck. Was he playing? Was he returning kickoffs or something? Like,
That one touchdown he scored was the game winner, but
like
now
there's
they
no fucking
lost.
way, man.
Like,
I'll be right back.
yeah, that's who I had most disappointing performance of the week. Um, 11 carries, 25 yards. Obviously, that's not good. Uh, seems like he doesn't have the best offensive line in front of him. Alan Bowman doesn't do a lot to take the pressure off of him passing the ball. Uh, Oklahoma State's just kind of falling apart at the moment. Ollie Gordon was supposed to be, a really good player. I think he is a really good player. I think he's deserving of all the hype he had going into this year. I just think they can't recruit very well to have talent around him. Bowman's just not a very good passer. They threw in that Wrangle guy. He gets hurt, so that's no good. It's just not a great situation down in Stillwater right now. He did have a touchdown, I'll give him credit for that. And I can't say it's all his fault. I think he's the key to beating Oklahoma State is just stacking the box, shutting Ollie Gordon down. Alan Bowman, he can't throw. Mike Gundy seems like at this point, it seems like he can't coach anymore. It's just disappointing. I don't even I don't know where Ollie Gordon gets drafted. He's having such a down year. I don't even know if he gets drafted as highly, I guess, as we thought he was gonna get drafted.
I thought I don't know if he's gonna get drafted. I was like, bullshit.
No, he's getting drafted,
He'd
but
probably
like,
go late second, third.
yeah, I felt like before the year started, you're probably thinking of him as
Well,
like one of those like Swiss Army knives, like a running
I
back
think
receiver.
this isn't all his fault.
That's what I was just saying. I was saying like
He could still go early second. I don't think he's going first.
I think that like the pass game doesn't take any pressure off of him at Oklahoma
No,
State. They can't throw.
Bowman is
Bowman
dog shit.
sucks. The defense sucks. So like I don't like the coaching sucks. That he's kind of screwed. It's just a disappointing
Well, like
situation all around.
what what teams need running backs that would potentially draft him high?
Um,
And what other running backs would go before him? Jeanty. Jeanty's going to
Jeanty.
he's number one running back. So what fucking teams need running backs? I mean, you got the Chiefs potentially if they're not cool with Rock. Oh, they got Pacheco. He's coming back, so they don't need to keep Kareem Hunt because Kareem Hunt's getting up there. 49ers with McCaffrey's injury potentially, but I don't think they draft a running back first round unless they're a late pick,
See, I
maybe.
don't think a lot of teams are going to be willing to draft a running back first round. Like I
Carolina's
think
got Jonathan.
Jeanty will go like in the first round because he's so like he's like a Derrick Henry type
The
back.
the, the Bengals, Chase
Yeah,
Brown. Um, Panthers got Jonathan Brooks coming off IR at some point. The fucking Titans maybe.
I mean the Cowboys kind of need a back pretty badly right
Oh
now.
man, the Cowboys. He they got a good old line. He would cook. Cowboys, yeah, but they need fucking receivers. They need defense. They need a
They kind
fucking
of need
quarterback.
everybody.
They just gave Dak a big deal. They're not drafting quarterback first round. Packers got Josh Jacobs. The Raiders, but they need a fucking quarterback. Um, who else? Vikings. Who do they got? They just got Khalil Herbert, I think. No,
Yeah,
no, the Vikings just got Cam Akers from the Rams in the trade deadline. Um, Seahawks got Kenneth Walker. Rams got
there's
Kyler
really nobody
Murray.
that has like a first round need
Of
for
like just running
a
back.
back.
He
Like
might
I could
not,
see maybe the Cowboys take Jeanty, but I don't see them. I don't see Ollie Gordon also going in the first round.
or I feel like it could be a situation, somebody like mid to like late rounds, like, like everything that they wanted to pick got picked, so they got to take best available. And Genty's sitting there like, oh fuck, we might as well just take Derrick Henry, you know what I mean? Like he's just sitting there. We don't necessarily need him, but it would be cool to have him
Yeah, that could happen as well.
potentially. So I don't know. I can't really think of a fucking team that would like, absolutely need him. Eagles got Saquon. Commanders got Brian Robinson. I'm just struggling to think of teams that absolutely need running back. Lions got two running backs.
Nobody really needs one. I mean, like you
Who
could
the
always,
Pats got Ramondre Stevenson. I'm just
yeah,
saying like the worst teams. Like
you could always use a running back, but you never need a running back. I
Bears
feel like
got
in the first
DeAndre
round.
Swift. Now I
And
can't think
then
of.
as far as like his tape this year isn't looking great, so like obviously like a lot of that's probably due to the team, but
Would
like
you take
there's
Ollie
the
Gordon
Lions.
over Jeanty? Like
I like
last
the
year
way he
Ollie
could
Gordon.
I like the way he could receive. He's a way better like getting receptions than Ollie Gordon.
I haven't
But
seen Ollie Gordon or not Ollie Gordon. I haven't even been able to watch very many Boise games, so I don't even know what the fuck Jeanty's receiving capabilities are. I don't even think they're throwing the ball that much. Because I mean, I got him fucking pulled up, obviously. Um, that means he's not even getting that many receptions, so they're not even really throwing them the ball unless he's getting more targets but not catching them. So I don't know.
But I would still take Jeanty. Like even last year's Ollie Gordon because he's just an every down back that you can hand the ball to. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's not going good in Oklahoma State. I think Mike Gundy's probably about out of there.
but he has to be, man. He has to fucking be. There's
And
no
then
way.
he was like bitching about the fans. Like it was like he made some weird comment like the people that are complaining are the same people that can't afford to pay their own bills or take care of their families. And
What the fuck does that even mean?
I'm like that makes no sense. And
They're still
I'm
complaining
pretty
because you
sure the
still
people
fucking suck.
complaining spend hundreds of dollars on
Come
season
watch your
tickets.
sorry
So
ass team.
this is the first year in Oklahoma State history they sold out
Owens,
season tickets.
they're 0 and 6 in the conference. They haven't won a. I just now seen that. I was like, oh, they're 3 and 6. You know that's
Yeah, they're
it's terrible.
terrible.
But 0 and 6 in the fucking conference, I've never seen that from Oklahoma State. Never.
He's got to go. He's got to go.
And who the fuck? What do they got left? Arizona State. Actually, they're somehow good this year. TCU on the road. That's a loss. Texas Tech. They don't win another game the rest of the
Look
year.
at the top headline. He's
Nah, he's done, brother. There's no okay. They could potentially beat TCU, potentially, but there's no fucking way they win.
No, they don't beat Texas Tech or Colorado.
Watch they beat Colorado. What just to ruin their fucking Big 12 hopes? I could see it. I could really see it.
That'd be the most Oklahoma State
They,
thing
they, they beat
ever.
Arkansas, bro. Come on now.
That was weird, but also I feel like they should have lost that game. Like
Yeah, they were down. They were down a lot.
it was like they were like to lose that game.
Like I don't know how they won this game. It was 21-7.
Like this might just be like a lucky game at this point.
That their defense folded. But like, come on, Arkansas, man.
It is crazy to think that they were ranked 16 at that time because they're not even on like the radar of a ranked team right now.
The 0-6 conference is astronomically bad for Oklahoma State.
I love it. I love every moment of
Do you think
them
if you
playing
guys were still in
terrible.
the Big 12 and you guys played like Bedlam, you guys would beat them?
That'd be the worst
I think it would
battle
be
of all
kind of
time.
close.
I think
I
we
wouldn't
they
be
wouldn't be able to
surprised.
score on us.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, like,
But could you guys score?
I mean, we held Ole Miss to 26, so surely we could hold them to like 10, and then maybe I
You
don't
guys,
know.
you guys run defense good.
I'd say yeah, our run defense is probably like our strength of our
Yeah,
defense.
so you don't think Ollie Gordon will just have a fucking field day?
No, they would have to beat us by the pass. That's they would have to try to cook us on the outside. So it'd be tough. I mean, I think we would. Their defense is really bad too. So we'd probably actually be able to run against them. Yeah, like Scatterbo. I mean, he had, you know,
This is a fucking
150.
menace. This dude should just play fullback.
Dude's one of
Look,
my favorite players.
this dude, I don't know if we talked about this, but the guy that plays not Wolverine, but
Bucky.
no Sabretooth and X-Men.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We had to have talked about this. I just had like a fucking flashback. I got a goldfish memory, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I think I know. Yeah, I think we've had this conversation. I think you pulled it up. Yeah,
We're doing it again.
because I think I had him as like player of the week one.
No, that's him.
Yeah. We had Leave Schreiber. Yeah, he's a good, very good actor. Yeah,
No, that's him. This is his son.
yeah. No, this that's it's a pretty
On Kennedy
crazy.
resemblance. This is him in college. Yeah, we
It's crazy how
we 100% did this already.
I feel like he got the same personality. Like
He's got the fucking facial hair and everything. This is Sabretooth. I actually hope he gets drafted. I think he does, but
I think he's like a guy you draft probably like fourth, fifth round, but
just
that
be
like
like
actually ends up
your third down
starting.
back.
Yeah,
He's not even that big. I mean, he's 215, 5'11". He's just the dude's a fucking tank.
he you can't tackle him. No, like
He's
you can't get him on first attempt.
no homo, but he's girthy on the bottom half.
He kind of is though. He got some
Got
powerful
them
legs.
Saquon legs. Dude, but speaking of Saquon, did you see that fucking play, the one from the past weekend that's
Oh, where he
everybody
like
he jumped
flipped
over
or
somebody
whatever.
backwards?
Yeah.
I've never seen that in my fucking life. I don't how do you do that?
That was crazy. Yeah, I
Like
saw that shit.
me just standing right here thinking about trying to jump backwards. I don't think I could just do it just standing still.
I
I
I
can't
couldn't do it under any circumstance.
that motherfucker hit a spin move, came and it just jumped fucking over somebody. Like that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Good for him for,
And
get on a halfway decent team.
fuck us, right? We just like, yeah, we don't need him. Idiots, fucking idiots. One of the worst franchises in the league. Anyways, um, disappointing play of the week. I got I got fucking Malik Murphy. This fucking bum, dude. They had him on the fucking ropes. They had him. This fucking idiot wants to throw three fucking interceptions.
Yeah, I didn't
I
really get
think
to
they were
see
all
this
like,
game.
brother, this game was so fucking close. It was so they went up three. Miami scores. We go play by. We'll just go play by play. All right, 7-0, 7-0, punt, interception, touchdown, punt. Miami fumbles the ball. Duke scores. Miami punts. They score to tie. Field goal. Miami takes the or Duke takes the lead. Punt. Fucking Duke turnover on downs for some fucking reason. I think they was just trying to, take the initiative going into half. Duke scores after half, takes the lead. Miami comes back. Duke throws an interception. Miami fucking takes the lead. Kicks a field goal. Touchdown, punt. Miami throws an interception. They punt. Miami scores. Interception, touchdown, fumble, punt. Like the fucking decision making was fucking horrendous.
It's just crazy to see how close the score was
It
that
it,
late
it
and late in the
was.
game.
It was so close. And then they just fucking blew it right here. They blew it right in here. It was so close. They just lost all the momentum and they just kept fucking turning the ball over. And Cam Ward's just going fucking stupid on them. 400 yards and five touchdowns is egregious. I think Restrepo is now the leading, I think, yards receiver and or touchdowns in Miami history,
That guy's insane.
which is crazy considering the receivers that they've had there. Yeah, fucking Michael Irvin coming from Miami, and he's getting beat by Restrepo, and
Restrepo is like
he's so good. He's good.
I saw him. I didn't. He came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know anything about him going into this year.
Now, I knew he was a fucking menace because he was good last year too. This dude can he catches everything. He could be laying flat on his fucking back on the ground, and the ball's coming to him, and he's just like he catches everything. He's so good. He's like a Wes Welker, but like mixed with it's like a he's like that type, like a very shifty, but just better.
Like an Anquan Bolden or something, like a prime
No,
Anquan Bolden.
I don't know. Yeah, like a mini Calvin Johnson, Wes Welker. Or
Yeah,
no, like a Larry Fitzgerald, Wes Welker hybrid, because that motherfucker don't drop the ball. This dude catches everything, but he's
yeah.
fast and slippery. He's fucking annoying. He's like a little fucking gnat, but you can't guard him, and he ruins you. He's very good. He's very
You're
good.
like, oh, we got him on this play, and then
It's
yeah,
like he's just
he's
somehow
open.
he does a fucking backflip and catches the ball somehow. And you're like, oh, okay, fuck us, right? That's Restrepo. I hate him. I hate him.
Yeah, that's a it's kind of crazy. Malik Murphy had
Sold.
the yardage. looked like before the towards the end of the game, he was having a pretty decent game, and then he just sold. It looks like down the stretch. Malik Murphy, he's like a good quarterback, but he's just like his decision making is not there. He doesn't take very good care of the football. I feel like his is his big issue. Passing percentage isn't
He
great
had
either.
3 touchdowns and three interceptions and a fumble.
Four total
All four of the
turnovers.
turnovers from the team were fucking from him.
Yeah, that's
Tw that's
unacceptable. Yeah.
that's 28 points worth of turnovers, and I'm pretty sure they scored a touchdown on at least three of them. That's 21 points. You slide those 21 over to Duke and say they scored on all those. That's what 53 to fucking 30, 32, something like that.
Yeah, and
They could
oh,
have won.
it's unfortunate because this was a huge game for Duke. With Clemson losing, Duke kind of maybe, you're counting on an SMU loss or something, but they had a very slight chance of making the ACC championship had they won this game.
I'm fucking pissed. They had him on the ropes. Uh, just like every fucking team so far that they've played in the last 5 weeks. And then they sell. So, and it's Malik Murphy's fault. The majority of those turnovers were on him. He, Jesus Christ, man. I'm trying to see what play that was without just showing it.
Getting a copyright.
No, I'm telling the dude's a fuck. Like, just look up Restrepo highlights. He's fucking crazy. Like, he's going to the league.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's a senior. Good fucking riddance. See it, brother. He's not got the most amazing stats to back up his talent, his ability, but I would love to have him on my team. Absolutely love to have him.
Yeah, he's a super reliable
He's
guy.
not like Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors. He's not gonna Brian Thomas. He's not gonna take the top off your team, but he's gonna kill you on the inside the entire way to the fucking to the red zone.
Well, and
So
he's also the kind of guy like you got like a third and long.
he's somehow gonna
You need to get like 10, 11 yards. He's probably gonna pick it up for
he'll
you.
get the 10 and then he'll fucking take it for fucking 15 more and you get the first down and you're like, whoa, what happened? Who's guarding that guy? You got the slowest linebacker on your team on him, and he's just fucking. It's wild.
Nothing you can do.
Makes me sick. I'm hateful tonight. I'm I'm
I'm
I'm
tired
pissed
of.
off.
I don't really like Miami. Like I don't
I
know.
fucking
I don't. I thought I would like be cooler with them, but
no.
they're not that great. I think that's
See,
part of the problem.
I think you've also aligned yourself with Florida State, and we one of our arch rivals. So like, and I've like aligned myself with OU slightly. So it's like,
Yeah.
man, fuck OSU, fuck Texas, and then you're like, man, fuck Miami, fuck Florida, fuck Clemson.
Like I don't hate them as much as like an OU rival, but I don't like them. Like they're
Yeah,
like
yeah. It
towards the
just
bottom of teams I
it feels
like.
wrong. We've kind of just adopted each other's teams over the course of this like the podcast journey, which is kind of funny because like growing up like in Oklahoma, I was like, I don't like OU. I don't even really like OSU. And then like as I've kind of gotten older, and then still didn't really like OU. I didn't hate OSU as much, and then I didn't like OU, and I was like, man, fuck OU. I don't like them because I've always been a Florida State fan. And then we started this, and like I was like, still, I don't really like OU, but I kind of keep an eye on them because you bring them up and you talk about them, so I at least want to have some semblance of knowledge to at least talk back and forth with you on how they're progressing and whatnot. And then I'm like, let's fucking go, Michael Hawkins, let's fucking go, Michael Hawkins for Heisman, like the dude's crazy, and then you're fucking rooting for him. He gets teams that like I kind of like, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. Fuck that team. Let's go. And especially now
Well,
they're in a new conference
we're in the
too.
SEC, and you probably
I hate the
don't
SEC.
like most of the SEC teams
No.
anyway, so that helps. And I think probably from the outside, we're a little bit easier to root for just because we're not as good as we have been in years
And
past.
And we never play each other too, so that works out well.
Yeah, it's like
Outside of
a
that, that bowl,
once every 10 year type
outside of that
type
bowl game that
deal.
we played, but and just the fact that like we got to go watch both of our teams play each other, and it was really cool.
Yeah, that's another reason why I kind of still like Florida State was all the Florida State fans there were actually really cool.
Yeah.
Like nobody gave me any shit for like having OU shit like in their section or anything like that.
I got so lucky that we got to sit on sit on that side. We would do a coin flip to see which side we was gonna sit on.
Yeah, I bet you OU fans would have been way worse.
I'd have been getting dogged on over there, especially once like once you guys started losing, because it was pretty close all the way to the end. But like once we would have like taken the lead at the end, they would have been just like, I'd have been cheering. They'd be like, "Fuck you!" More than likely, but and they'd be like, "I'm fucking from Oklahoma, you asshole."
Yeah, I don't know though, because like
It'd be kind of hard to
at all the
explain.
home games I went to, like we never really gave the away
Nah,
team like shit. So I would may probably not, maybe not. They might not have cared,
yeah, I
but
mean, it wasn't in Orlando, so it could be not, true Oklahoma fans from Oklahoma. It could be like OU fans from Florida, just like I'm a Florida State fan from OU or from Oklahoma, so it's like it's kind of hard
yeah,
to tell, how like true they are to like the OU like brand and shit. And, like, how you guys value the opponents and like the respect that you guys give other people. I don't know.
yeah. It kind of just depends on the people too and how much alcohol they've consumed as
What
well. I think
section you're
is
sucking sitting in? Is it the student? You're close to the student section? These college kids, they don't give a
yeah.
fuck.
This the student section probably be like the worst like
They
group
don't, they don't give
to
it. They
be
don't give a.
by.
They hate everybody, which is cool. You need that. You need that section that's just gonna be going hard, regardless of who the fuck they're playing. Fuck everybody. It's us against you. So, anyways, this will hop in our Heisman top five. Honestly, mine is the exact same from 2 weeks ago.
I think mine is. I think I swapped a player, but pretty much pretty close.
So I
I
still
got
got
Bryson Bailey at
yeah,
five.
I know he missed this last week, but even missing this last week, his fucking stats are still just kind of off the charts. Yes, they haven't played anybody, but he puts up a big game against Notre Dame. If he can take them down, I feel like that just kind of moves him up the charts a little bit. Granted, I don't think he catches Jeanty and Cam Ward. They've kind of seems like they've pulled away with it at this point. Everybody else is kind of just hoping for an invite, it seems, but. Um, yeah, I guess he kind of came down with some like fucking illness, like or something happened,
Yeah, they
and
said an undisclosed illness.
like a late scratch, literally right before the fucking game. I know a lot of people that bet on this game was betting that he was gonna play, and if he did play, I think the spread would have been a lot higher. Um, and it only being a 17-point game, I think fucked a lot of people. Cause I want to say the spread was like 21 and a half or
Mhm.
20 something around there, and they didn't cover. More than likely because he wasn't playing. So this man's going this man's going stupid on the ground. Absolutely
He's
stupid.
having a better season than most running backs as far as his
Exactly.
running game.
And he's got, third QBR in the country. Granted, he's not really throwing the ball a lot,
Still, no interceptions is
but
impressive. This late into the season,
seven completions, 147 yards. He never gets sacked. He never gets sacked. Does he have a sack all season? Has he been sacked? Fuck no. Just
no, ain't been
fuck
sacked
no.
one time.
Fuck no. Has he thrown an interception all year? Fuck no. The dude's a fucking menace. Draft this dude. Run
He's
triple option in the NFL.
he's extremely efficient
I love him. I
and
like this guy a lot.
mistake free, smart player. Like him. I think
I like him a lot.
well, like I said last week, if he gets a win against Notre Dame, you got to start kind of taking him a lot more seriously
I
for
think he
the.
moves up to third. I think he jumps because I got Rourke and Gabriel sitting at 3 and 4. Rourke did also miss a week with an injury. Some people have fucking Dylan Gabriel number one because he
Some
fucking
people
beat
right now the highest odds are Travis Hunter.
because he beat fucking Penn State or not Penn. Yeah, they beat. No, they beat Ohio State.
Ohio
That's
State.
the only reason Dylan
I have
Gabriel's
Dylan
high.
Gabriel at three.
So
right now.
that's the only reason people are putting Dylan Gabriel even that high. But Travis Hunter is I don't know. It's hard to gauge.
He's my number four right now.
I don't
Um,
have him on there.
he has the highest Vegas odds right now. I don't I personally just don't think Travis Hunter is having as good of a season as like a Cam Ward or an Ashton Jeanty.
He
I think
needs
he's playing very solid on both sides,
he
but
needs to be doing better on one of the sides or both.
yeah,
It's got to be better. I guess technically like he is kind of like an elite receiver in some aspects. I mean, I know he was kind of hurt, these 2 weeks, but like that brings him down. When he is healthy, he has good games. He's kind of I don't maybe not elite. He's like towing that line. He's kind of pushing it, and I guess you could consider him maybe a lockdown corner, but I don't know.
he doesn't really get the ball thrown in his direction. I would say like I feel like people are kind of overrating him just simply based off the fact that he plays both sides of the ball.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
And as
Not
impressive as it is, he's just not doing anything on either side, I think, to
astronomically.
really to say he's the best corner, the best receiver. Like you could say he's one of the best, but
Yeah.
I don't even know, if you could say he's like top five in both. I
I
probably
mean,
wouldn't say so.
if he was putting up a game like, oh, fucking Jordan Watkins from Ole Miss, like 6 tutties and, almost 300 yards of receiving, and then on the flip side, locking the fucking best receiver on the team down, oh, yeah, okay, cool. 100%. He'd be top two, but he's not doing that on either side of the ball to that level. So it's kind of like he's there, I guess. He might get invited, but yeah, I got Rourke at number four.
He's having a great year.
Second QBR. I mean, he's not gonna win. If you take he's a little bit below Dylan Gabriel, but if you compare his stats to Cam Ward, it's not close. Cam Ward is the number one QB across the board stats wise. So if you're not gonna beat him stats wise, you're damn sure not gonna beat Jeanty. So it's Jeanty and Cam Ward's to lose, barring an injury to one of those two or both. It's gonna be one of them two. Everything else is just not nominations and invites, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am with it. I think Curtis Works having a really good year.
Yeah.
Um, I
If
don't know. Maybe if he beats Ohio State, has a really big game, maybe.
if
Um,
he beats down Michigan, goes into Ohio State, cooks their shit, those are two big wins, and Cam Ward's got none.
and then if he goes to the
And
Big Ten championship,
Genty's got no big wins. Do you value those two big wins? You beat the number two school in the country, you blow out the defending national champions, you make it to the championship, you beat down Oregon, or he has a great game. Fuck, I don't see why not.
well, yeah, I say
Unless
if he,
Jeanty breaks the record, that's the only fucking factor.
yeah, I would say it's starting to look like Genty's not gonna break the record with the it's not as I don't know, there's like 4 games left. Like,
So, all right. They got Nevada, San Jose State, Wyoming, Oregon State. He needs 1,103 yards to break, or I think to tie the record. Do they count? Do they count conference championship stats?
yeah, they do.
So he'll
They
have
do.
five. So he basically needs to average. So 250 here is five. 250, 250. That'll put him 1,000. He'll need 103 yards in the championship game just to tie. So they basically got to run these motherfuckers ragged, which is doable. Um,
I think it's certainly doable. I
it's
think my
doable
main concern is I feel like they are probably gonna bench him in the second half most of these games.
because they are potentially going to make the playoffs. They at least
They're
want to
they're
make.
in their heads, they're like we can't risk our championship
Yeah,
run for him to get a Heisman.
he basically needs to do what he was doing early in the season. First drive, taking it to the house, getting pushing 100 yards on one carry and then doing it again, pushing 250 like that. That seems to be the only way.
He's still my number one this week,
Yeah,
but it was I was starting to wrestle with Cam Ward at number one. It was starting to like
yeah,
become debatable for the first time this year. I'm like, oh, maybe it is because I got Dylan Gabriel at three.
yeah.
Um,
Me too.
I just don't think Dylan Gabriel's putting up the numbers, but he does have some good wins at this point.
He has the best win out of all of them. I mean,
And
he's beat
he also
Ohio
has
State.
the Boise State win as well as
Yep.
Illinois, which is a solid win. So it's like not like he it's just like the yardage like the lead Cam Ward has in the yardage department.
He's got what 500 yards roughly almost.
Yeah, and he's
Blowing him out.
29.
That's just passing touchdowns. Just 29 passing touchdowns.
Yeah,
He's
and I
got
think he has about like five rushing touchdowns or something like that.
he's got three, but
Three.
187 yards. Gabriel's got
He's got quite
current
a few rushing touchdowns too. I
he's
bet he
got
has like six.
six.
Yeah.
So I
So
put him
he's
at
got like
25.
25. So he's still trailing about by like seven total
Yeah.
touchdowns, I
And
think.
Cam Ward's got QBR, one more interception, but Dylan Gabriel has the better wins. So
Yeah.
it's just it's so hard to QB to running back value. So Jeanty, he either has to break the record to get fucking damn close. But Jeanty's got 20 touchdowns, one receiving to himself, so he's at 21,
And then that's
averaging.
another thing. Like his touchdowns are but maybe more impressive than his yards right now.
Yeah,
20 touchdowns this early in the season. He could easily finish with 30 plus touchdowns, which
you know.
that's a quarterback, the amount of touchdowns as a running back. It's just I could see him even finishing third. That's just how close this race is right now. Because like
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel wins every single game, including the Big Ten championship game. He beats Ohio State again. Like it's just gonna look really good on his resume. And then Cam Ward, he's just putting up video game numbers.
I mean, I think you have to think about, so who was the last running back to win the Heisman?
Marking, no,
Was it
Derrick
Derrick
Henry.
Henry?
Derrick
Okay,
Henry, yeah.
so I think you take Ashton Jeanty's numbers compared to Derrick Henry, right? I think he's gonna beat that. But then you take Cam Ward and compare him to the last like quarterback of like that style, which is probably Lamar. Does he beat Lamar's numbers? If so, then you have both of them beating the last players of those styles, right? So the last running back, last quarterback of that style, the mobile. I think Cam Ward beats Lamar's numbers outside of like rushing, but and then Dylan Gabriel's kind of like I don't even know what the fuck you'd compare him to
Mm,
because he is mobile, but he doesn't run a lot. He can, he just really doesn't.
I feel
This is
like probably the closest comparison is probably like a Marcus Mariota or something like that.
yeah.
Which I'm not just saying that
I
because of
think I think
Oregon, but
Mariota ran a lot more.
he was more like designed QB runs, but he was a solid passer.
So it's like, do you
Um,
value Jeanty being a better statistical running back than fucking Derrick Henry? Or do you value Cam Ward being potentially a better statistical quarterback than like a Lamar Jackson, outside of maybe the rushing comparison? I don't know.
and that's another thing. Like the QB wins do matter in a sense that like if Cam Ward drops a couple games between
It's
now and
not
then,
going to.
I mean
Who?
I could see them losing to SMU in the championship.
That,
I
that's
would I
that's
wouldn't be
Genty's only hope.
surprised.
Probably.
Um, I mean, if he could, obviously, if he could break the record, I think there's no doubt you give it to him. Um,
Because
I think it's just, I feel like
1,100 yards in
he's
five
kind of
games
being
is like,
punished for being on a smaller team too,
yeah.
which is kind of unfortunate. Because like if I'm rooting for somebody, I'm rooting for Dylan Gabriel, obviously, but like besides that, a player I'm not associated with, Ashton Jeanty is who I want to win. I don't really want Cam Ward to win.
No.
I don't know, like it's just like kind of boring. Like he's just putting up stats, but he's not doing anything. Like
The motherfucker's averaging like almost 30 yards, 30 carries a game, about 150 yards a game, almost two touchdowns a game. Like what the fuck? What more do you want him to do? You know?
yeah,
What more do you want him to do? He's got to be Barry Sanders. He has to be Barry Sanders to fucking win the Heisman, which is fucking crazy. That record going into this year was unbreakable. It was never gonna happen. And now he's fucking toeing the line, but if he doesn't break the record, he doesn't win the Heisman. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about?
and it is kind of annoying how like the QB like Ashton Jeanty's not getting rewarded for like being on a winning team like the way a quarterback is. Like, oh, he won this big game. Like no, I mean they haven't really won any super big games, but like
He didn't lose them the game against Oregon.
that's what I'm saying. Like he like running backs and receivers are not held to the same standard in the Heisman races
No,
quarterbacks are. Like quarterbacks, like you might not like a Dylan Gabriel, for example, doesn't have the best stats, but you're like, oh, he won these games.
the big games, but that wasn't all just fucking him. You know,
Yeah,
defense is getting
exactly.
stops. You know, running backs are getting it big first downs, important first downs. Receivers are making big catches. I mean, yeah, he got them that ball, but like, he's not fucking making that catch. He's not taking those catches for extra yards. He's not getting field goal blocks. He's not getting big punt returns. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's kind of like an unfair advantage to the quarterbacks.
for sure.
So
Absolutely.
I hope maybe Ashton Jeanty could pull it off. It's just
It's starting to look
we
unlikely.
need a Cam, like he needs a Cam Ward loss for sure, and probably a Dylan Gabriel loss as well.
And Boise State has to win out, and he has to get close, if not break the record.
He has to
He's got to get close
he's got to be well over 2,000. You know what I mean? He has to be
because
probably like 2,100 at least.
Barry was 26, 28. So that's why he has to get, I say 1103 to tie. It's a tall order, but it's not
It's doable.
impossible with the record that or the schedule they got. I mean, eh, Nevada's dog shit. San Jose State sucks. Wyoming's trash. Oregon State's decent. Depending on who they get in the conference championship, you know, let's look at like what's his best game? What's the most he's done? 259 against Washington State, who's got one loss. If he does that every game, he's gonna get it.
Yeah,
100%. He'll break the
yeah,
record
he'll get
and he'll
it. Yeah.
have probably 40 touchdowns.
If I'm
If he can
him,
replicate this, I'm going fucking
I'm going
stupid.
over to the defense. I'm gonna be like, let them score, like, so I can stay in the game.
Or get me a fucking turnover on the goal line. Let me get the touch. Let me just boost the touchdowns.
Like, do something to keep me involved.
Like, please. I,
I'd be like, fuck you, coach. Like, this is my only shot at a Heisman. Like,
I'm running
what are
out
you
there.
doing?
Yeah, the backup running back, get the fuck out of there. In the huddle, give me the fucking ball. Halfback draw, pitch. It's fucking 3rd and 20. We're running it.
I mean, really, like, realistically, Boise State's not going to the championship, so you might as well just
That's all they got.
let him get the Heisman. Like, let him do it.
That's all they got, man. He's got to be replicating like this game here. At least three out of the five, and then the other two, he's got to be pushing something like this. He can't be having like uh, they were just blowing him out, so he didn't get enough carries, but he gets the carries and he gets the yards, but he has to be going over 200 every game, minimum, and at least two touchdowns to even probably have a chance because Cam Ward is putting up stupid fucking numbers.
Yeah, I mean, when I was
Granted, I like
watching
how he had his worst game of the season against us. No,
that was funny.
no tutties, four
Yeah, I
sacks.
was on the little halftime show where like Booger McFarland will show up. He was talking like Cam Ward was
Second
like
coming of Jesus Christ.
he's the the he's the Heisman already. Like you might as well just give him the Heisman.
I just let that one sit there and marinate. You know, we're the second worst team in college football, but you know, he had his worst game against us. Riddle me that.
That was a weird game.
I mean, granted, they did run the fucking ball all over us, but I'll take it. That's a W for us, right? We got to have something. I'm taking that one.
That's like one of the few positives I guess you
That's
could
the
take
only
away.
game all year he's not had a passing touchdown, and or he didn't have a rushing touchdown either. He had negative rushing yards.
I'd say that's a win. Like you force them to play outside of what they're used to.
Yep. Most sacks in the game, least amount of passing yards, no rushing touchdowns, least amount of rushing yards because he's negative. So yeah, I'll take that. Fuck you, Cam Ward.
Yeah. I'm I don't know. It's coming down to it's like a three-man race, but then like you kind of got Bryson Day. Like if he gets that Notre Dame win, like you got to start looking at
It
him.
could hop up in there.
Same with Rourke. Like he wins out.
Yeah.
He's up in there now. So I mean, I would say it's down to really like maybe like seven guys, but like realistically, it's like the top three right now.
I mean, outside of those five, Travis Hunter maybe he has to have some
Travis
big
Hunter right
games.
now has stronger odds, I believe, than Cam Ward to win the Heisman.
It's fucking that's stupid. It's stupid.
Like
There's
look that up right now. Look like highest odds for Heisman right now. I am curious. I want to say I saw Travis Hunter like really high.
um oh I like on three. Let's see. What fucking best odds? Travis Hunter 185. Titles
Yeah, that's what
Cam
I'm
Ward.
saying.
Dylan Gabriel's plus 350, plus 500, plus 2000. Jackson Dart with that last game is, yeah, I guess he is kind of,
If Ole Miss won out completely, he'd be in the combo.
yeah, I don't fucking understand how. Doesn't make any fucking sense. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, that's what
If
I'm saying.
Travis Hunter wins the fucking Heisman, it's just a celebrity award at that point.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's being just overhyped because he can play both sides of the ball. Like he's being rewarded just for like playing the snaps as opposed to what he's actually doing.
Yep,
Which don't
agreed.
it's a cool story, it's a cool thing, but
Nah,
it's
he's a great
not
player.
worthy of a Heisman when you have a guy competing with Barry Sanders numbers. You have Cam Ward, just throwing the ball like crazy. Dylan Gabriel getting big wins. Travis Hunter's not doing anything that
To
they're
win
doing.
them the games. Other than that, force fumble at the goal line against Baylor, like you need that to beat Baylor. I don't like it. Don't like it at all.
Weird. It's just a weird thing. And
No, not a
I
fan.
don't know. It's like that's not who you would expect to be the favorite.
Nope, not at all. Not a fan. Shit's trash, man. I I hate the Heisman. They gotta change it. Just split it. Split it in half. There's two Heismans. Quarterback Heisman, everybody else.
See, then everybody would just care about the quarterback one, I feel like. So it's just
Well,
like
they
there's
could
no
do
win in
same
it.
ceremony. You got fucking five quarterbacks invited, five of everybody else, defense included. And then it's the same fucking ceremony, same players there, same time. It's not like, you have two fucking ceremonies, 2 different days, because that way everybody's watching the same shit, same values going into it. Um, that 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 seems fair to me, man. Because it's so 99% of the time it's the quarterback. Granted, yes, the quarterback is the most important position on the field, but like this year is one of those years, or like the Devontae Smith year when he won, like you're Derrick Henry. Like it doesn't happen fucking very often. Like and a defensive player, there's been defensive years where you could argue that defensive player should have won, but their team didn't go all the way, or they had two losses, so he doesn't win it. And then the
Yeah.
quarterback that won made the championship or something stupid.
It's like an every 5 year deal where somebody that's not a quarterback wins pretty much.
Or is even invited. Um, I don't know. They'll never do that, but I think it would be cool.
Yeah, especially like in a year like this where like Ashton Jeanty's having a great year and
Yeah,
like,
he would
oh,
he
we're
would
gonna
win
go
that
for Cam
second one.
Ward.
Cam Ward would win the quarterback more than likely. Be him or Dylan. Jeanty would win the fucking second one. Unless you count Bryson Daly as a running back.
Yeah.
But even then, I think Jeanty would still beat him.
Oh yeah. All right, going into this weekend. Looks like we had a couple of Tuesday games, which is I feel like not that
Anything?
normal.
Northern Illinois still cruising. Fucking Kent State is shit, man. If we play Kent State, they might beat us. They scored 0 points, which is crazy. I think they are the worst team in college football,
Yeah, I believe
and then
so as
Florida
well.
State's right behind them, which is actually crazy. Did you see Ashton Jeanty has more touchdown or more touchdown or points scored than like Florida State going into this past week?
I didn't see that, but that's
Yep.
damn.
Him by himself has more points than we did going into this past week. I think we did pass him, but I think it's by like 2 or 3 points.
That's ridiculous.
But we've not scored over, I think, 21 points all year.
Maybe when you guys play the FCS team, y'all will.
That game might be like 13-10. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean,
Uh,
you gotta you like y'all haven't played anybody that bad. Maybe y'all finally get that one game where it's like a 50 to nothing like
if we
win.
lose, Norvell has to be fired. Has to be. There's no
Yeah, I
fucking way.
mean
That's
that's like
inexcusable.
unacceptable. That's how I felt when OU played Maine this week, and I was like, if we lose this game, Venables has to go. I there's just this is one of those games you just can't lose.
I mean, I guess we completely skipped team talk. I mean, we could touch into it after this if you
Yeah,
want. I
we could
mean,
go through the predictions, then we could touch into that.
nothing really too crazy tomorrow on Thursday. Coastal Carolina is cool if you want. I like watching Coastal Carolina. Um, Nothing crazy on Friday.
Yeah, nothing really at all.
Saturday, you got Florida, Texas. I mean, normally Miami's been struggling lately, but I don't think they struggle against Georgia Tech this week.
Yeah, I like Florida to put up a fight if they have Lagway. I don't think they
If
win.
not, they get beat down. It's looking like a light week. Ole Miss at Georgia at Ole Miss, probably the best game of the weekend. 2:30.
Like you said, Kansas could pull off that upset against Iowa State. It's not like
Honestly,
outside the realm of possibility.
I like Ole Miss to win this game, and then I think Kansas wins this game too. I'm calling the double upset.
I'm probably go Georgia against Ole Miss because Ole Miss is like I just feel like they can't beat Georgia or Bama really.
They never do, yeah. I got Colorado at Tech midday.
Could be an upset.
If it was
I
if it
still think
was a
Colorado
night,
wins.
I think if it was a night game, I think Texas Tech pulls it off. But being 3 p.m., Colorado probably gets it. South Carolina at Vandy will be fun.
That's a hell of a game. It
Vandy
doesn't
been
sound like a great game, but it's a great game.
Vandy been sleeping people, so I wouldn't be surprised if Vandy fucking wins this game and completely makes South Carolina their big win last week. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? But South Carolina probably wins. I think they win by a decent margin. Um, if we get blown out by Notre Dame, it's not close.
Yeah, no, they were talking about that on
It's not
the
close. There's
playoff show. They're like to think this was like gonna help like before the season started and Notre Dame's thinking this was gonna help their schedule and
I
it
mean,
makes it worse.
yeah, it might be 2021 on the low end. We honestly we might not score. We don't score more than 10 points unless we get like a random turnover in the red zone or like a fumble or like a stray pick six. I don't think we scored more than 10.
Yeah, I think
Unless we're getting
Notre
blown
Dame's not
out.
crazy on offense, so it's probably like you guys do get blown out, but I think it's gonna be like a 35-7 as
If
opposed to like a 50 something to
it's like an
whatever.
early blowout and they pull starters, maybe we kind of pull some just, garbage time points, but yeah, it's not close. Alabama rolling into Death Valley. This could go either way, honestly.
I think LSU is gonna pull it off just because it
I,
is at
I
Death
think
Valley. It is a night game.
I think so too. OU on the road against Missouri
This is our last chance to get bowl eligible because we're not gonna win after that.
is Braden Cook back?
If he plays, we probably
Yeah,
lose.
y'all done.
But I don't know about his status going into this game.
Washington gets blown out probably by Matt fucking Penn State ain't blowing nobody out. And then what am I talking about? BYU at Utah, that's a trap game. I would not be surprised if BYU loses. With the
I think they win, but yeah, I wouldn't be
it
surprised.
could be close, but yeah, I'm not surprised. It's looking like game days probably Alabama LSU.
Yeah, I think it is actually. This game day I think is usually the 6:30 game.
But I would rather it be Georgia Ole Miss. Would rather it be. This is probably it's probably like their second choice.
Yeah, I feel like anytime you
Yeah,
got like a big ranked game, Death Valley at night, they're gonna give game day that game usually.
for sure. That's a fucking terrible place to play at night. Good fucking luck. Good luck. I would not. You could be an unranked LSU team. I still would not want to go play there at night. Um, nah, pass. There's plenty of other places I would rather go play. Not there.
Yeah, I'm going into this week. It's not looking like the greatest week.
It could be an upset week.
But that every time we're like, this week isn't good, that's when it is an upset week almost
Yep.
always.
That's why I'm saying, man. Ole Miss. I think they beat Georgia. Indiana. I think they blow Michigan out. I think Iowa State loses. If Lagway's playing, it's close. Texas probably still wins, but it might be close. Oregon's chilling. Tennessee's chilling. Notre Dame's chilling. Uh, who fucking knows? Penn State could get upset, and then fucking Big 12 at night on the road at Utah. Big 12 at night's crazy. It's the new Pac 12 at night. Nobody's gonna be fucking awake watching this game, and it probably goes to like triple overtime, and Utah gets a pick six to win, and you're like, sick. BYU
Watch Cam
frauds.
Rising come back for this
Dude, Cam
game.
Rising's like prime Cam Rising, and he throws for 375, three touchdowns, one interception. Write this down if you're watching this.
I wonder if
Utah's winning this game.
I wonder if they're rivals.
Yo,
Because
this is
aren't they in the
the
same
whole
state?
this is the Holy War.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
This is a big fucking rivalry.
yeah, I was about to say like I think this might be a rivalry because they're
I, I
against state.
I think Utah. Look at the fucking ticket prices. 145, and you got 100 here, 77 here. The only thing that might be beating it's this game. Oh, I get two.
201.
Well, that
Oh,
doesn't make any fucking sense.
Colorado is always
251 because Indiana's undefeated.
undefeated.
That's a big game, but like,
It's one of the most expensive games of the whole
no,
week.
that's a huge rivalry. I think Utah wins, man. I hope not, but
I think BYU wins.
it's the Big 12 at night that it's like fucking voodoo black magic. And these games are fucking egregiously crazy. 'Cause nobody fucking watches them, and it's just like you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, it was 70 to 67, and you're like, nice. The team I wanted to win got upset. That Utah's gonna run a kickoff back on the last 30 seconds or some stupid shit.
I hate games in that time zone. Like I like them if I'm up, but I'm almost never up like
That's
to
all
watch
I'm
the
saying.
entire game.
Write it down. Utah's winning. I don't want them to win, but
That'd be interesting.
I liked them early in the year, but now that they got no shot, I don't want them to win. Utah, this upset weekend. Utah's winning. Um, what's the other ones that I said? Yeah, Utah upset, Kansas upset, Ole Miss upset. Three of them, book them. I'm parlaying it. Those three. What are those? What's that payout looking? Just a little fiver on it. Let's see. Just those three games.
That's probably pretty
It's
fucking
decent, I
crazy.
bet. It's probably I'm gonna say
Like
five probably goes
500.
150, 200 without a profit boost. Let's see. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. I'm about to just come up real quick on this weekend because me and my infinite wisdom that's been spot on all year is gonna come through. I've made the worst picks this year. All right, Ole Miss money line. It's plus 114. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Kansas money line plus 120. Not too bad. And then there's so many fucking games on here. Utah plus 145. So five pays out 57. Nothing. That's not too crazy. It's doable.
Might as well. It's five.
It
It's
might as,
five. It's $5. Like,
at that point, might as well just add some more legs. Fuck it. See, I do this every weekend. I'll go through the schedule. I'll be like, oh, okay, Ohio State, and the money line is not worth it. So I'll be like plus 17 or minus 17. Miami here. I'm not fucking betting Miami spread at all because their games somehow end up close. I don't bet Miami this year. Lagway's not playing. I'm taking Texas plus minus 14. Um, what else has some decent potential? Depending what the spread here is, Ole Miss is probably plus money, so I would probably take that. Indiana would be like, I take them minus 10. If you don't want to pick the upset, you could probably take Iowa State like plus or like minus 3 or some shit. Army fucking plus, or not plus, minus 10. Maybe blowing motherfuckers out. Colorado plus 7. 'Cause I think they're still gonna lose. South Carolina minus 10. Oregon minus 21.
yeah, probably.
Uh, Notre Dame minus 21. TCU minus 7. LSU plus 7.5.
Yeah.
Missouri plus nine and
Probably
a
like
half.
probably under 10.
Yeah, nine and a half. Because if it tens at 10, you win.
Yeah.
Penn State, I do minus 6.5. Boise State, that shit's probably high as fuck, but I'd go
I go like 14, 17.
16 and a half. Pitt, that's probably another good value. I think Virginia's semi decent, but I go Pitt plus, or not my plus, minus 12 and a half. UNLV minus 20 and a half. Uh, Fucking Utah plus 10. Washington State minus 13 and a half.
Yeah.
I'd lock that in right now. I already forgot, but because
I would
I'm gonna
like
be going through it on like Friday, like, yeah, well, I said all this, and then I'm gonna be fucking, I'll miss one of them.
you remember that dude on Reddit that like would have those pics and like I would like you like send them to me like you're like this dude's like pretty accurate like all the time. Like people like wait for his picks. And I remember like I would do like his parlay and then I'd be like, oh man, just like two more just to
Be
just to
greedy,
get
and
a
then
little bit
the
more.
two out of the two, yeah, one misses. every
And
fucking
like
time.
his shit would hit, and I'd be like, God damn it, why'd I
Yeah.
do it?
I don't know. Like I'll be getting greedy because like honestly, if you like this is what I do. I'll start at the fucking top of the slate, right? I'll be like, okay, I'll just skip to Saturday. Miami, the money line's minus 395, so I'll just be like, boom, that, sure, whatever. Because if you're doing a big fucking spread, Texas 21 and a half favorites. So alternate line, I'd go, let's go fucking, let's go 16 and a half. And then Minnesota beats Rutgers. I just keep picking random games like that. Minnesota hit for me last week. Navy's minus 2.5 against South Florida, but they did fire their coach and they lost last week, so I feel like that's a trap.
Yeah,
So I'm skipping that one. West Virginia, Cincinnati, no fucking idea. Skip. Syracuse, Boston College, no fucking idea. Skip. Ohio State's minus 38 favorites against Purdue. I don't think they've covered that all fucking year. Skip. And then the over under is 53 and a half. So uh, trash. So then I go to Iowa State, Kansas. Kansas plus 3. Get a little risky. Go plus 3. Georgia, Ole Miss. If I'm sticking with Ole Miss money line. Indiana's 14 and a half favorites. I actually don't mind that. I'd take that. Army's 5.5 at North Texas. I'm
I'd take the
taking I'm
over.
taking
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the spread, yeah, for
the
sure.
spread. Yeah,
Clemson 6.5 at Virginia Tech. Trap. Georgia State, James Madison, Duke, NC State. Trap. Skip. Colorado, Texas Tech. Colorado's 3.5 favorites.
I would take the over on that shit.
Over is
Whatever the over.
62 and a half. They
So
both would have to score 31, and one of them has to score 32.
I wouldn't be that surprised though. Really,
Okay, yeah,
really.
fuck it. Over 62 and a half. Cool. Slap that in there. Scrolling through South Carolina, Vandy. Vandy's plus 3.5, but I just take South Carolina money line. Um, Oregon's 24 and a half favorites in Maryland. I said 21 earlier, did I?
Yeah,
Let's go. I'm trying to think like the statistical probabilities of like 20 is not really a probable win. It's like 17, 21. Let's go 20 and a half Oregon. So they have to win by 21. Mississippi State, Tennessee. Tennessee minus 2,800 money line. They're supposed to win by 24. I think I would take the
mm,
plus 24 for Mississippi State.
yeah. I probably would.
That's a huge spread.
That's a big. Yeah, that's a really big spread.
But then I don't watch very much Mississippi State, so I don't know how reasonable
They
that
have
is.
a decent offense. Like not great, but they can
I'll
score.
skip that. Oklahoma State plus 11 at TCU.
I might.
Over
I think they lose.
that over under 66 and a half.
I take the under.
So they would both have to score 33.
I don't see either one of them scoring 33.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll take that. Why not? Alabama, LSU. LSU's plus 2.5.
I might
I
leave that one
Yeah,
alone.
that game is risky as fuck. Notre Dame's 26-point favorites.
Who are they playing again?
Us.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll drop it down to
That's about what I was thinking. I said 35-7, like in that ballpark.
let's go 19 and a half. Just give us a
Fair enough. Yeah.
slight credit. OU, Missouri. Missouri's plus 3. You guys are somehow favored to win that game.
Yeah, Missouri. Well, that must mean Cook's probably not playing
So
then.
Drew Pine's
Because he
probably playing.
apparently they're really really bad
Oh,
without
he
Cook.
Drew Pine's terrible.
So we might actually win that game.
Yeah, over under's 41 and a half.
I'll take the under on that shit.
I think I'm gonna leave that one alone. I could see you guys just somehow getting it together. Washington, Penn State. Penn State's 13.5 favorites. Over under 46 and a half.
Mm,
I might leave that one alone.
yeah,
Nevada, Boise State. Boise State 24. I think they do win by a lot,
I
so
would take that honestly.
I'm gonna go 20 and a half. So they gotta win by 21. Drop it down just a little bit. Virginia Pitt. I think I'll just take the Pitt money line. It's minus 270. It's decent. BYU, Utah. Utah's underdog plus 3.5. I think I might take the BYU money line. I know I said Utah's gonna win, but if I'm putting money on it, might as well go with the favorite. Yeah, so that's 15 fucking picks. Those odds are fucking nuts. Five pays $9,000. I mean, in theory, those all sound decent. I'll stew on it. I might cut it down. But I mean, that's just what I do. I just fucking go through the whole slate, and I'm like, boom, 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 and I get to the end, and I'm like, hmm.
Like when you see it all
In
together,
my
you're
in
like,
my head, I'm like, yeah, 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 and then all it takes is one fucking upset, and it always happens right in that fucking 11 o'clock time spread right here. So when I fucking took Texas for whatever that fucking spread was, Florida probably gets two pick sixes and cuts the fucking lead to three, and then Texas barely squeaks it out like they did at Vandy, and you're like, all right. I mean, I wish they'd have just lost at that point, but then they somehow squeak it out, and you're like, well, you fucked me in my parlay, and I wish you'd have lost at the same time. But
yeah, because you're like, well, you might as well have just lost, like, because I didn't like you to begin with. Like,
that happened to me last weekend. I don't remember which team it was, but um,
Georgia.
was did Georgia play early last week?
Oh no, they played late. I can't
Maybe
remember who played early last week.
I think it was no, it was Navy. Because I was like, they was like plus, it wasn't that bad, and I extended it. It was reasonable, and then it was fucking turnover, 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 and I'm like, well, there goes that fucking parlay, because Navy can't keep the fucking ball. Six turnovers. I'm like, well, fuck me, I guess. So love that. Ruined me. Maybe I'll do it. 5 for 9,000. If I hit, I'm the best, college football analyst there is. You gotta tune
Be
in.
That'd be a crazy payout.
Maybe taxes might be kind of nuts.
I don't pay those. No, I'm just kidding.
I would just withdraw like 100 every
I'm
now and
just kidding. Like IRS.
then. It's already 11 o'clock. Fuck.
Yeah, it is running pretty late.
Yep. I mean, unless
I
there's
think we
anything
pretty
else.
much covered
We could
everything.
we could skip fucking team talk. Both our teams suck. We got beat the fuck
Yeah.
down by North Carolina. You guys blew
If
up
we
Maine.
if we pull out wins next week, we'll see where we're at.
We ain't winning shit.
If y'all even get close,
It's not happening.
it'd be worthy to talk about.
Uh, We could
Georgia
honestly
and
skip talking
Illinois
about
did it.
fucking Florida State the rest of the fucking year, and y'all ain't gonna be missing much. So I'm just
Yeah.
wallowing in my self pity, and I honestly I think we're cursed at this point. Something happened to us.
That's how I feel about OU, but just to a lesser extent. Because like we might make a bowl game, but like my expectations this year was not like
Yeah,
hopefully we could make a bowl game. Like I was like
yes, we might make a
nine
run
nine
for the
nine
SEC.
nine wins. Like 9 wins was like what I was thinking we're gonna get.
And now somehow your offense is down there in the fucking basement with ours.
Yeah, I mean, at least we scored. Like that was the most. This game against Maine is so sad. It was the most fun I had watching OU this whole
At,
year. Like
at,
it felt like how I'm used to watching them. Like us just winning.
at least you guys have a fucking excuse with all your injuries. We have none of that. No excuse. There's nobody injured on our fucking team other than DJ.
Do you
Not as,
think do you think DJ might have helped like in some of these games though? Because
yeah, maybe
I feel
maybe.
like I think he is better than Brock and
Oh
Luke.
yeah, now looking back, before realizing how bad our O line was, DJ played well, but he can't do anything behind that O line. He's not mobile enough. He's too slow.
Yeah, that's the problem, I
Um,
guess.
so
He can't make the plays.
but like Brock and Luke are at least a little more mobile. Granted, they don't make any better of plays, but they at least wouldn't get as sacked as much. It's just bad all across the board. The O line is the fucking root of the majority of our fucking downfall, in my opinion. It all starts there. And then right after that is the fucking play calling. That's
That's what I
one, two. Everything else stems from that. Receivers can't catch the ball. There's no chemistry with the quarterback. We have our third fucking quarterback playing defense on the field the whole game. They can't get stops.
they get tired after a while. I think the defense is not as bad.
No, they're not.
I think they're like pretty decent. Like if you guys could score like I don't know, like 21 a game, 21 to 28, maybe
Something.
you pull off like a couple wins. And one thing I hate about college, like NFL, your team starts losing, you're like, oh well, at least we might get the first pick. There's no reward for losing in
No, all
college.
your
You're
fucking
just
commits,
fucked.
they're like, nah, we're not going there, which is just
Yeah, if
exactly
anything,
what's
it
happened to
makes
us.
things worse. It makes things way worse.
Uh, this fucking season set us back 3 to 5 years.
I was reading some Florida State fans. I can't remember where I saw them. Probably like in a YouTube comment section, but they were like, "I hope we just lose. That way we could just fire everybody. Like, I hope we just lose every
Man,
game.
I think this shit all started when we changed our logo.
Change it back."
It's karma. We pissed off the fucking we pissed off the Seminole spirits. We're cursed. This is karma. Um, yeah, it ain't looking good for us.
Man, it's funny. I didn't even know y'all changed your logo until you said something about it. Then like you showed me, and I was like,
It's it's
"Yeah,
not.
the old
It's
logo was
ass.
way better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's right there. It looks fire.
yeah,
It's great.
it's way better. Yeah,
And then I think that's the new one right up there.
I don't think I can see it, but
No, that's the same one. The new one is you can't see it. The fucking it's right there.
yeah.
I'm
Like they're similar, but the new one's way
what is
better.
happening here? Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah, yeah, there it is. I'm slightly intoxicated, and
No, yeah,
yeah, right up
I've
there.
been able to see it the whole time.
Yeah, I mean it's not completely different, but it's not better. It's terrible. Our Lord and Savior Nicolas Cage,
Best actor in the
Goaty.
game. Yeah, he's
Oh.
actually my favorite actor.
I love Nicolas Cage. Well, anyways,
Yeah, I think we're at the end of the episode. We'll catch y'all next week. Hopefully, we have some upsets to talk about. 12
something.
second 12 team rankings come out. We'll see where that goes, but we'll catch y'all next week. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.